Okay, there we go. Let me just that. Chat bar looks better that way. Yeah, that works. Okay. For a moment there. All right. I'll just wait for people to file in and then I'll get started with all this fun stuff. Just want to make sure that I'm live. Yep. Cool. There we go. I am live. Link. Paste. Boom. All right. Trigger, how's it going, man? How's it going? I'll just take a few minutes to let people file in. Of course, nothing going on in terms of racing this weekend. We kind of just been kicking back before, the rest of the season kicks in next week. Can't believe we're already in the NBC portion of the schedule. Feels like we were just in the Fox portion not too long ago, but such is life. But yeah. So, O'Reilly race at Red Bull was great today. You should have seen the ARCA race at Louisville Motor Speedway, man. It was a banger. Brian, how's it going? Yeah. So today will be the director's commentary, part 1 for Sunday Night Lights 2002. Before that, so I'm going to use this first hour to just discuss, just kind of chat with you guys, talk real life stuff and other kinds of stuff about content, of course, and give you guys updates. And I'm going to, right before I start the director's commentary, I will show you guys a teaser for the next Racing Infinity. So, because I just did some work with that earlier today. I recorded a bunch of footage for it, so we're on track with that. Have you seen the new IR28 IndyCar pictures? It looks amazing. Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how it does. Because I think, it debuts in 2028, so definitely looking forward to seeing how that car does. And, oh gosh, I feel like we're not that far away from, speaking of new cars, I feel like NASCAR's not that far away from talking about a Gen 8 car. Can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, this is the 5th year for the next gen now, so, yeah. Anyway. But anyway, let's see here. So I guess I'll start things off talking about Sunday Night Lights. So basically, there's been a lot of progress, especially this past week. Sent up the ratings. We've painted a ton of cars, and we're getting. I think we're getting down towards the stretch of getting all that done, and I will say this too. We've put a lot into the Cup and Busch cars because we are moving past the pre-made cars. Like, how I've said, like, this car's not available for download because all I did was edit it. I just put a different name on the car. We're moving past that. So the cars will all be made from scratch. So, from 2003 on forward, the plan is you get the whole car set. So you get the whole shebang. So it's a little more work, but it is absolutely worth it. And these cars that we've made are absolutely beautiful, and you guys are going to love it when the time comes. So we're getting very close to starting the races. I'll say that. We're very close. And once we get the ball rolling, it's going to be, 2003 is going to be fun. Really, really looking forward to this coming season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of cars, I am aware of the Stunot problems or I guess like, the site's kind of been up and down, on and off. There's been some things. The drama doesn't concern me, doesn't involve me, I should say. For the time being, because Stunod is still there, it looks like the old site is trying to get back up and running or something like that. I am just gonna play it by day. For now, as long as it's on there and people have access to it, I'll leave it be. But if Stunod were to go down completely, or something goes haywire or anything like that, then I will look at alternatives like Army Digital or maybe our own site. I don't know. But I figured I'd at least bring that up. I know some people had questions about that. I was going to update the cup set, and I've been waiting because somebody mentioned there was a car missing in there. I think it was the Jason Hidleski Lucas Oil car. So I apologize for that. I'll try to get that up. But right now, just making sure Stunod is still good, and, I'm not going to do anything there just yet. If something goes haywire, something goes wrong, then we'll address it, and we'll look at what options are there. So, hey, race fans, Gray Speed. Hey, all, Scott here. Sorry. I was quoting Scott the Woz there. The Gen 8 car is the car of the day after tomorrow. Does a Gen 8 car have a wall of water coming towards New York City in an ice age and forming in 3 business days? I get what that reference was. Anyway. What's today but yesterday is tomorrow, as Mr. Krabs once said. So I figured I'd address that whole thing first with the whole Stunod thing. So, let's see. But yeah, with Sunday Night Lights, I don't know. Let's see. I can't give a definitive date yet because, I haven't started the races yet, but I'm very, very close to starting it. Perhaps later this week I could start the races. I'd like to get this out late September if possible. I'm hopeful, but I'm not ready to commit to a date. That's just the idea. Especially if I want to get 2004 out within this year. It'll probably be December. That'll be a challenge, but not impossible. But we'll get there when we get there. We'll play it by ear. So that's kind of the whole shebang thing there. SpongeBob quotes always. Yep, SpongeBob has some amazing quotes. Carson Quaffle burnout controversy was so dumb. Let the kids celebrate. Yeah, I totally forgot because my friend Michael pointed out. He went, "Oh, he burned out on the bricks," and I was like, "I forgot that was a thing that you're not supposed to burn out on the bricks." I guess it's just a kind of because the bricks are kind of sacred, right? They're the last yard of bricks on the track from when the track was originally built. So I guess in a way they just want them to be protected in a sense, or not ruined, I guess. So I don't know. It is what it is, right? I'll talk about my Indy trip as well here in a minute. But yeah. Let's see. All right. As for Racing Infinity, I'll show a teaser right before I start the director's commentary. And when that lost my train of thought. I did a bunch of footage for the video earlier today. I ran the race yesterday. So we've made a crap ton of progress on that. Hope to get it out next weekend. We'll see. iRacing should make you get fined for burning out on the bricks in NASCAR. Can you imagine that dude in career mode? It's just like... it's just like, oh man. Oh man, they're showing us the black flag. I'm just kidding. So yeah. Did you bump into David Land? I did not. I bumped into him before at IRP though. I think I had credentials. I think that was 22. Yeah, it was 22. I was just taking photos of the infield, and I just ended up chatting with him a little bit. So I was like, oh yeah, it's David Land. How you doing, man? So yeah. Let's see, 2027 NASCAR schedule rumors. I know some stuff came out, which I do want to talk about some schedule stuff in the part of the thing that I'd like to discuss with you guys about here in just a matter of moments. But uh, in terms of the schedule, I hope San Diego. It looks like it's coming back, which is awesome. I didn't expect that. We definitely need SoCal. San Diego would be great. I hope the Chicago street circuit can come back. I know people are kind of freaking out, going, "Oh no, what about Chicagoland?" I don't think they're gonna. Even if they brought back the street circuit, I think they're gonna do both races. Um, yeah, I think they're gonna do both. At least I would like to see that, especially just to kind of see, because I think Chicagoland will bring in the more your usual traditional fan, and the street circuit can be that event that brings in the new fans, the new crowd, right? Because that's what these events have been awesome for, is that they've brought in new exposure, new sponsors, new people to the sport, and more than ever, you need that in this day and age. Let's see. I don't like no points date for Wilkesboro. Yeah, that whole thing's so tricky because there's only like a certain amount of dates that SMI has and ISC has, and then the independent tracks. It's a lot of moving parts with the schedule. And I'll talk more about this later here in a bit, but ideally, like, my version of the schedule is something like, kind of like what we're doing in SNL, right? It just a combination of being able to have those traditional tracks, those traditional dates, your Southern 500s, your Martinsvilles, your Wilkesboros, but also have your new dates and going to new places and trying new things. So, I don't know what the whole thing with Wilkesboro is going to happen there. If you want my opinion on the cup race that ran there, it felt like a traditional old school short track race. I didn't realize the record for most elite lap cars to finish there was 13. I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy. So, but, then again, I'm 29. I was 3 months from being born the last time a points race ran there. So, obviously some of the older folks will know that better than me. But, let's see. We should have a 50-plus mile street circuit going from Grant Park to Joliet. They should just shut down I-71 here and just race from Louisville to Cincinnati or something. I wish Bristol would go down to one race and have both Dover and Wilkesboro. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I didn't like Dover losing their points race, right? But it looks like they're going to have that back next year. I know some people have said, like, the All-Stars should go back to Charlotte. I'm like, I like it being rotated, though. Going to different places. Same with the Clash. It's like, it's going back to Daytona, and I feel like, well, I thought the road course was fun in 21. I thought the LA Coliseum was really cool. Weather just kind of got in the way of that, just like it did Chicago for a couple years. Because, every time NASCAR has a major event, Mother Nature has to get involved. It feels like. Gosh. Just can't catch a break sometimes, Cincy Street Race. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I got an idea of how they could do it. I think they could knock it out. I think they could do it. The question is, does the city of Cincinnati want to do it? So, hopefully they do. Obviously, there's politics involved and stuff like that, but, Trucks to Bowman Gray? That'd be interesting. We already treat I-71 like a racetrack. Yeah, we do. Especially, 81 is from Cincinnati. They're starting to build the Brent Spence Companion Bridge. They've been needing to do this for years now, but obviously there's been a lot of shutdowns and all over the place, so traffic will be hectic for a while. So I'm like, woo, yeah, buddy. Anyway, what can you do? Who do you think would replace the 48? Oh, that's right, yeah. That got announced. Jimmy's gonna run the 48 one last time. That's awesome. That's really cool. That's honestly amazing that Rick Hendrick let Jimmy do that. That is awesome. Now they just got to get Lowe's back involved for one more time, Or heck, I don't know, maybe Jimmy could convince Lowe's to come back and sponsor Legacy a little bit. That'd be kind of cool. And Legacy, man, how about look what they're doing, right? They're getting all sorts of folks involved. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they're getting all these different celebrities involved, and I think it's a fun way to get new people involved. I mean, think Bryce Harper. My God, how cool is that? Of course, there's Darius Rucker. There's Guy Fieri. I know I saw Chase Utley. Pardon me, I'm just moving my mic here. Just pressing down on a key here. There we go. Excuse me. Let's see here. Just kind of reading the comments here. Charlotte, Roval, Rockingham, National Fairgrounds, Felicity, Daytona. Jimmy should get Home Depot just to confuse everyone. Oh, God. That's cursed. That is cursed. Then again, I mean, you look at Sunday Night Lights, a lot of people may look at it at first look and say, yeah, that's cursed. But, yeah. I would combine the Lowe's and the Busch Series 92. Oh, that'd be cool. If he did like an Excedrin throwback, that'd be kind of cool. We will see the Cincinnati Street Course race before my Reds win another World Series. Hey, I'm a Reds fan too, so I feel the pain. That's Cincinnati sports for you. Nothing ever happens here. I'd love to see it though. Another one I'd like to see is a dirt race at Churchill Downs. I think that could be kind of cool. Legacy is turning things around. 43 car has been consistent lately. Glad the King is able to see his old car running good. Yeah, I agree. Obviously things could have gone better at IMS, but I feel like those Legacy cars have been doing a lot better. Especially getting these investors involved. I think that team's only going to get better. I'm really excited to see what they can do in the coming years. Especially you got this new generation of teams, right? You got Spire, you got Legacy, you got Trackhouse. Please get it together. You got RFK. But yeah, so if Lowe's won't sponsor the 40, maybe we'll see Ally on 2 cars. I'm sure Ally would probably do it if they needed to. I'm sure they would. Some people have had this theory, and I'm starting to think it too. Is Alex Bowman gonna drive the 46 in the 500? Maybe to help film for the new Days of Thunder movie? Right? That'd be cool. I hope if I'm able to go down to Daytona again this coming February, that would be cool to kind of witness that, wouldn't it? So, that would be cool. Let's see. Clash at Paul Brown Stadium. No, I won't call it by its corporate name. Which of the following is the best venue for the Clash? I wish they could still do the Daytona Super Stretch. That'd be cool. That's a toughie. I feel like you could do any of them, really. Volusia would be interesting, actually, with the dirt track. I've been down there I've been down there before. It's a neat little place. I would like to see RFK get back in Victory Lane again this year. Yeah, and Buscher's been insanely consistent. He just hasn't won. RFK in general has been solid. They just, trying to hop back in Victory Lane a little bit more. They should run the infield. They should run the road course in reverse like Texas infield from the EA games. Oh, man. I don't know. It's fun to try new things and stuff like that. So, yeah, hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all enjoying your weekend. It was raining here a little bit earlier ago, but I think it's since stopped. So, I don't know. My work schedule's been changing quite a bit. I am now a Monday through Friday guy, so at least my weekends are free now, which I'm good with that. What would the IndyCar schedule be like in 2027? I don't know. Obviously, we'll get the Indy 500, right? That's a good question. I'm intrigued to see how the DC street race goes. Pushing the politics aside, pushing it aside, just focusing on the race being in the nation's capital. We'll see how that happens. We'll see how that goes. Arlington's kind of cool that they're doing there. I can only dream they put a race at Kentucky, but what can you do there? But yeah. So Ooh, you know what? That reminds me. I want to show off some photos that I took this past weekend. So I like taking my camera and going to races. I got some backup drives where I have stuff dating back to like 2011 at Kentucky. So I got to see the Dodge Rams in action finally, even though like, similar paint schemes, but I really like that angled shot that I've been doing lately. I just really am a sucker for that. I like the backstretch shots too with the cornfield or the farm field there in the background. But yeah, I went to IRP on Friday for ARCA and trucks. There's some O'Reilly shots to see Brennan Poole there. There's Chastain and eventual winner there, Carson Quaffle. Got a couple decent shots here of his burnout too, as well as him celebrating. He and his folks climbed the fence as well, making me think back to when I was there in 2005. Thank you, Paper. Thank you. There's Cody Ware saying hi to my friend, actually. Christopher Bell right there as well. So, Ty Gibbs on pit road. Fox is going to replace the Indy 500 with the 24 Hours of Indy. But yeah. And then, of course, Austin Hill's card. You see the Kyle Busch decal there. Obviously, there was the Lap 8 tribute, which I know it's been 2 months, but it just still doesn't feel real. I feel like at times I'm in a simulation, if you will. But yeah, it just still doesn't feel real. You caught Quaffle committing a crime on camera. I guess I did, didn't I? Arca's coming to Springfield on the 23rd. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. That 89 car, of course, Braden. I bumped into him at Indy. It was good to see him again. Bumped into some familiar faces. I do love the SVG Wendy's car. Speaking of which, on Friday, before I went to IRP, there was a Wendy's along the way where SVG was doing a little meet and greet. So I went there, and I met SVG, got him to sign my SVG hat. Just, told him that I enjoy seeing you out there, and I love what you said, when you led at North Wilkesboro, saying, what the F do I do now? So it was great meeting him. I should have put the picture of me and him on there, but oh well. But it's on my phone, though, so that was fun. And the folks at Wendy's were really nice. We were all just thanking the managers there, like, hey, thank you for putting this together. Thank you for doing this. Because, it's nice to do that so that, they're like, hey, let's do this again next year. But yeah, love that Wendy's car. Love what Wendy's is doing with Trackhouse and the Trackhouse Tuesdays. And, yeah, so it was cool. They were handing out small Frosties while we were in line. And then I was like, you know what? While I'm here, I'll grab some dinner. And the hospitality guy came up and said, you pay for that now, but next time it's on us. So actually, right where my monitor is, I have a gift card from Wendy's that I still need to use. So who knows? That might be dinner tomorrow. So yeah, courtesy of the kind folks at Trackhouse. So it was cool, seeing all the people in line. He walks in, everybody's chanting SVG, SVG. So shows how much people love the guy. I mean, seriously, he's great for the sport. He's just entertaining to watch, and he's getting a lot better on those ovals. So I feel like that oval win's gonna come one of these days. I feel like it's gonna happen. So, oh man, I never thought I'd find myself saying this before, but I'll find myself being a fan of Braxton Bush when he starts to work his way up. I think a lot of people will. Kyle Busch's channel put out a new video the other day called For My Dad. It was just kind of a vlog of Braxton's first win since his dad had passed, and I'm not gonna lie, Braxton looks and sounds just like his dad. It's almost scary, but I think that kid's gonna be alright. Gosh, I mean, it just, as I've said before, this must be what 2001 kind of felt like, and I know very well that people will get behind and support Brexton. Let's see. So as a Carson Hocevar fan, I'm calling myself a Hosa bro. Yeah, I want to talk about that too. Hocevar is I almost want to call him one of the most entertaining people in motorsports, you know. When he got the pole, there were a lot of cheers. A lot people love Carson Hocevar. So and I think he's incredibly entertaining and that kind of stuff. So um it's crazy to think that in like 5 years, as you mentioned, motorsport fan, yeah, Brexton will probably be able to hop into an ARCA car in about 5 years or so. He's 11 now, so once he turns 16, he can get into a truck, which I know for sure that's probably something that Kyle Busch was looking forward to do, was one day doing a truck race, racing with his kid. So, but um, anyway, so let's see. Got about half an hour before I'm gonna keep this running. By the way, I just died in your arms. Oh yeah, that's Carson's theme song. I just died in your arms. I don't want to sing it. I don't want YouTube to get mad. But so I had a ton of fun at Indy. It was great to be back at the racetrack. It had been a minute since Gateway last year, so there's certain races. There's certain races that I wanted to go to, and it's just time, money, a lot of stuff happening, changes happening at my work, and it was just like, oh man. Like, for example, I would love to go to Michigan and Nashville. If I had more money on me, I'd do all the races in my vicinity that I could. But, I got Indy, got Gateway coming up, and me and my two friends want to do Bristol the week after. So, I don't know if I've ever done back-to-back cup races like that. I'm trying to remember if I have. That'll be fun. But something I want to talk about before I start this director's commentary. Keelan Harvick's only a year away from running ARCA short tracks. Oh, jeez. we were all looking forward to. Yeah, absolutely. And if I get far enough in Sunday Night Lights, would love to explore that, but that's a long ways from now. So there's just stuff that I've been wanting to discuss involving the sport itself. Let's see. So yeah, I had fun. It was a great weekend. It was fun to just get out, do something fun. I chimed in a bit on the usual discourse that is Twitter, as maybe some of you have seen. Because there's just some things where I was just kind of like, I think I've gotten to a point in recent months where I just feel like my channel here, which by the way, today my channel turns 17 years old. Fun fact. I started this channel in 2009. The same account I'm using all these years. So yeah, happy 17th anniversary to this very channel. Fun fact there. Yeah, so obviously the reason why I want to have speak, Alex, English. Okay. Shutting down, rebooting. Anyway, I want to be able to celebrate racing. And I feel like a lot of the times that there's just a lot of discourse, there's a lot of negativity. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be criticism. There's things we're talking about and criticizing and stuff of that nature, for sure. But I feel like, especially just looking at social media, which, I know, using Twitter is a mistake sometimes, but as a content creator, I kind of have to use it, right? So, and, I've gotten flack for a few things I've said, but I'm just at a point where it's like, I can't sit here. I can't sit here and twiddle my thumbs for much longer, and if I need to say something, I feel like I need to say something in case there's other people who may feel the same way. And that I feel more equipped to talk about concerns concerns I have that are largely different from how certain people talk about. I'll be honest, this has been a rough season. Between the lawsuit, losing Greg Biffle, losing Michael Annett, losing Kyle Busch, you know, um, it's been a little rough in that sense. And there are, like, for example, people were, I went to the tweet up that Pacris and Gluck and Bianchi and those guys were at. Bumped into Chasm, by the way. It was great to see him. Awesome dude. Seriously. Like, if you ever bump into Chasm, he's just fun to talk with. Great guy. There's some issues I want to discuss. I'm going to try. I don't want to make this into a rant, please. There's enough of that. So, just humor me. Hear me out. You have every reason. If there's anything you disagree with, I totally understand. It's fine. I'm just here to talk with you guys. I love chatting with you guys. I didn't think my channel would get as popular as it has, where now I have people saying like, hey, I love your Sunday Night Light stuff, and it means the world, so I appreciate it. So, yeah. One thing I want to start off with is, I just talked about Carson Hocevar. Obviously, Mr. Heintime won the Brickyard 400. Very talented driver. He's definitely going to be a champion. He's probably going to win multiple championships. What's this? Go ahead and voice your opinions. I have my own opinions on NASCAR that some people think are horrible. You know what? We're allowed to have our opinions. It's totally fine. So, the problem is, obviously, if your opinion's different from some other folks, and then they're kind of like, shut up, you're wrong. No, shut it. No, please. But one thing I want to mention, the first thing is, with Heim winning, angry fans complaining about anything. Yeah. And again, to me, the whole shortening races thing and everything, I'm like, actually, no. What I want to start off with is the tweet that I made, right? Because people were starting to complain about how, nobody could pass and all that, which, okay, Indy's kind of always been that way. It's always been somewhat hard to pass there. Maybe there could be a few things they could fix, but Indy's kind of always been that way. I think Pocono's another example. So they're just tracks where track position matters. And I made a tweet that said 2018, I basically said, like, in 2018, people were saying Indy's terrible, get off the schedule. And then, of course, we went to the road course, and I said 2021, why are we doing the road course? Can we go back to the Brickyard? And then 2024, yay, the Brickyard's back, everything's good. And then 2026, Indy sucks, get off the schedule. So it's kind of like a full circle kind of thing, right? So that's a problem. It's always been hard to pass in Indy. It's just really narrow. Yeah, and that's just kind of the charm it has. I think personally, we should race at IMS. It is, which obviously I love that the trucks went back to IRP. Glad ARCA's there. Maybe O'Reilly can go to IRP. That's debatable whether they should race at the Brickyard or the small track. But I think personally, IMS is one of the most prestigious venues in the world, and I am blessed that I live 2 hours from it, right? I could get into my car and drive there right now if I wanted to. But yeah, and change always makes people mad. Yeah, and so yeah, in my opinion, that's just how it is with Indy, right? And in my opinion, I think the biggest problem NASCAR has, to me, it's not necessarily about the car or the format, because nothing's ever going to be perfect, People are nostalgic for the Gen 4, and I remember those days too. Like I said, I told you, I was there in 2005 when 250,000 people were there, and Tony Stewart climbed the fence and won in front of his home folks. It was a fun day, despite me watching Junior eat it on a restart. But that, and an 8-year-old me cried. But, the two Jeff Gordon fans next to me were really so nice. They were like, oh, it's okay, buddy. It's all right. My dad's trying to get back to our seats with our Powerades because it was just so hot out. But anyway, fun little story there. Okay. Trying to get serious. But there was a time where they all went to Indy. Yeah. I'd love to see F1 go back to Indy. That'd be really cool. But anyway, Yeah, we're all guilty of it. I think nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right? I think back to when life was like when I was a kid, and there are older folks who reminiscent about the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Soon we'll have people reminiscent about the 2010s and before long the 2020s. Scary, I know. But the biggest problem NASCAR has is the current culture. I think that's what's truly holding the sport back is the culture and the mindset. There's the factor of the typical stereotype. Um, the stereotype that, NASCAR is a redneck hillbilly sport who, they race in the Carolinas and stuff like that, when in my opinion, first and foremost, I like to think NASCAR is kind of like the Great American Melting Pot. You have all these drivers who come from all these different aspects of racing. You got your sprint car drivers, you got your dirt trackers, you got your late model guys, you got you got Jimmy Johnson who came from off-road trucks. You got Connor Zilic coming from Trans Am and Brent Cruz and Tristan McKee, which he's making some truck starts. He was born right when I started high school. I feel old saying that. But, and of course you got Suarez from Mexico, SVG from New Zealand, and even in the past when you've had open wheel guys come and try NASCAR. So, in a sense, it's great to have these kinds of different drivers from all walks of life come into the sport. And it feels like at times that only a certain type of driver are the right guys, if you get where I'm coming from. It was like 2023 Watkins Glen. Yeah, eight different countries. Yeah, I know the Indy road course race had that too. But yeah. So to me, it's the current culture and the mindset. And there's gonna be some things that I know are gonna be a little tough to talk about, but I want to discuss it here in the next 20 minutes. So I want to start with the schedule because I talked about Indy. So there are certain people of influence and certain media folks who, they're afraid of the diminishing returns on San Diego like they were afraid of the returns on Chicago. Which, it may happen. But again, I think it's important. Like the naval base is really cool. Let's do it again, and maybe if the naval base doesn't work, maybe somewhere in downtown San Diego could work. Because I'll be honest, these kinds of events we should have been doing 20 years ago, or we could have been doing 20 years ago. Because I forgot who said it, but I called it out one time on one of my streams where I said like, oh, with the next gen we're able to do street races now. Oh no, we could have been doing this during the Gen 4 era easily. It blows my mind that there were people actively cheering for NASCAR to split despite seeing the yes, and I do want to talk about that down nice. I do want to talk about that with the lawsuit. I'll talk about that here in a moment because there were definitely some problems that came from that. So with the schedule, right? There are some people I've noticed like the Jordan Bianchis, the Jeff Glucks. I'm trying not to call people out, but I'm just naming examples. I've noticed Kevin Harvick's been this way. But people are afraid of the diminishing returns on San Diego, and it's like, oh, we lost money doing Chicago. Well, still, I went to Chicago last year, and people were telling me like, oh, this event's a lot of fun. One guy told me we don't need to race at Darlington every week, and it goes back to what I said earlier about how we can have this nice, diverse schedule of, innovation and tradition, and let's see. I like the idea of a military base that rotates. Wright-Patterson would be kind of neat. I wonder if they could pull that off. We'll see. That'd be cool. Wright-Patterson up in Dayton, that'd be cool. Maybe Lunken Airport over here on the east side of Cincy, but I saw people mad Jordan settled and didn't totally destroy. Yeah, and again, I'll get to that, but because Kyle Petty, I know some people may have issues with things he says, but he did acknowledge that there could be, basically what happens when the honeymoon is over for North Wilkesboro, because people were kind of hyping it up, saying like, "Oh, this race is going to sell out instantly. This is such an important race. This is for the fans and everything else." Obviously, when it came back in 2023, um, it sold out months in advance, but it sold out the day before for this points race because I think the honeymoon phase is, it's. I like Kyle Petty too. A lot of things he says, but the honeymoon phase may be ending, and I do fear that with Chicagoland. And if Kentucky were to come back, it'll be a thing I worry about too, is what happens when that newness or the honeymoon phase ends. And, it's hard to do races with knowing how many few dates you have. But the fact that we've had certain people, not just fans, but even people of influence, who say that we don't need the fan base in certain places is a problem. And I've noticed that. People are saying like, we don't need a race in California, or we don't need to race at Indy or Dover or Sonoma or stuff like that. And to me, think about this. Like, the NHL is a prime example here. So the NHL had the original 6 up in the Northeast. I think it was Toronto, Detroit, Chicago, New York, Montreal. Did I say Boston? I think I did. But yeah, you had the original 6 is what I mean. For about 20 some odd years. And then the NHL decided, okay, let's expand the league. So 67 came. They added my St. Louis Blues. They added teams out in California, and then 80s and 90s, the league grew, and hockey grew in these communities. I mean, the Blues do so much for the community in St. Louis. You got the Blue Jackets up in Columbus. You got the Nashville Predators. More recent years, you had the Anaheim Ducks, who were originally the Mighty Ducks. You have the Vegas Golden Knights. You have the Seattle Kraken, and hockey has grown exponentially in America because of it. And honestly, may have contributed to us winning the gold medal this year in the Olympics. People didn't like Chicagoland that much till 2018. Then it was gone. Yep. That's another thing too. Those are some badass photos. Yeah, thank you. I love taking photos. I got so many of them I love looking back on, but I remember the comments about Mexico taking away. Yeah, and Mexico was cool because there were so many people from down there in Mexico who were like, we're so excited we get to go see a race, right? So, and people were just kind of like, oh, we shouldn't be racing down there, or saying like, okay, maybe going from Michigan to Mexico might be a little difficult. Could we figure out maybe to go from Nashville to Mexico or Atlanta to Mexico? Might be a little bit easier. I'd like to see it come back, but it feels like that we have people who are actively saying, we don't need that fan base. We don't need that. And, it says to me like, what about the folks out in Colorado who used to have Pikes Peak and now that track's getting bulldozed, right? I think Jeff Gluck made a tweet about that, like, late last year or something like that, where he said, like, that he's from Colorado and, like, his closest track's 8 hours away, but the Southeast gets all these races. And that's because some folks think that that's all NASCAR should be, is that it's a Southeastern sport. And to an extent, all of us at Sunday Night Lights have kind of been through this issue, in a sense. Me with Kentucky, Jet with Chicagoland, even if it's back now. Rose Jim grew up going to Fontana. They were at the last race there in 2023 as well. And Ferris, who lost the truck race at Canadian Tire, which never came back after COVID. I heard there's a chance that Mexico could be back. Yeah, because there was the World Cup. I figured that's why they didn't have it this year. And yeah, so rotating international date would be awesome. I honestly think that if Dale Earnhardt was still here with his influence, I think we would have gotten it a lot sooner. Mexico should be at part of a West Coast swing or race after an off weekend. It's kind of like what I do with Motegi and Sunday Night Lights. I designed it in a way where there's off weeks in between so that there's time to, there's some flexible time. Excuse me. I needed a drink while talking. But Excuse me. But I wanted to talk about that because it's a constant issue, and I feel like some people will just say like, you know, because people, what have they been wanting? Mainly North Wilkesboro, Rockingham, Hickory, Bowman Gray, places like that. And next, I'll say this too. I'm glad North Wilkesboro got resurrected. I think we should preserve any tracks we have, because unless NASCAR can get back to 2000's peak again in popularity, we're probably not going to be able to build any new tracks, especially when some of them are getting replaced by data centers, warehouses, and really expensive housing. So, but yeah, and obviously Rockingham is a very tough one right now because the whole IHRA thing, and obviously I don't know what's going to happen there. So, again, it'd be great if Rockingham stays. It'd be great if North Wilkesboro stays. If there's some way we can utilize these tracks, it'd be great. It's a shame IHRA had to buy the track. Yeah. It's a tough situation. But, I think it's important to go to different markets and to go to different places instead of just saying like, oh, well, this is where racing should be kind of thing. Because there's a lot of great dirt tracks and short tracks in the Midwest, like Indiana especially. There's a great car culture out in California. I would love to see like a street race in Seattle or something like that, and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's one thing I wanted to discuss with the schedule, right? The other thing too is I wanted to mention the lawsuit because I saw a couple comments that discussed how people were cheering for the sport to fall apart. Which, hey, that got on my nerves too. It did. And I want to address the media culture too. This is going to be a very tricky part. Because there's one name I'm going to mention that might make people go, are you insane? But I need to talk about Dirty Mo here. Again, I grew up a Dale Jr. fan. Okay? I have a poster of him that says Passion up on above my bed. But what I'm concerned for is I feel like a lot of the podcasts are designed to be very argumentative. And to that extent, I had some issues with the lawsuit here. So, first and foremost, they settled. It was the best case scenario. That's it. I felt like if it had ended in favor of either NASCAR 2311, shit was going to hit the fan. Pardon my French. But, I feel like you've had, let's see, a lot of the NASCAR media are way too butt-kissy, but a lot of the disgruntled X-fans just wanted the sport to fall apart. Yeah, and I feel like this lawsuit was just designed in a way to kind of tear the sport apart. At least that's how I see it, because I think that was just a problem that I've had. And, there were so many comments from, people like Kevin Harvick saying that, like, oh, Dale Jr. has earned a free charter to have a cup team. How, if that happened, how do you think, like, Brad Keselowski and Justin Marks and Jeff Dickerson and Brad Keselowski, who've been trying to build their teams up, how do you think they're going to feel knowing that they've had to, and I get it, I know it's Junior, but you got to be fair, right? That's what I'm saying, you got to be fair. So I disagree when Harvick said that. There was a moment where, Junior mentioned at one point, which this was something that I did disagree with him on, because it's okay to disagree with people you look up to and go, well, I don't necessarily agree with that. So he said in the pre-race of the 2023 All-Star race that he said something, I need to pull the clip up. I should have had it ready here, but he said something about wanting more races for families to come out to the races, more races in the Carolinas and Tennessee, which I went, now hold on. Again, I'm glad North Wilkesboro's back, but, yes, and I know drivers work out of Charlotte because that's where all the teams are, but, think about guys like Larson and Jesse Love, who are from California, or Gregston and Riley Herbst, who are from Vegas, or even the international folks like SVG and Suarez. And I'll say this: I remember back in 2023 at Indy, because we were bringing up, I brought that up. I walked past the hauler for Kamui Kobayashi, and I saw actual Japanese news people there. I was like, how cool is that? They flew all the way here to Indy so that they could follow their guy. That's cool. I love stuff like that. It's good for Kamui. It's good for Japan. It's good for NASCAR. Love it. I don't think Junior wants a Cup team. I'll be honest. I don't think a Junior Motorsports Cup team will happen. I could be wrong, but if Junior wanted to make it happen, 21 to 23 was the window to do it in. And I thought he would do it, and he didn't do it, right? So my question to him is this something you really want to do, right? You know, and I feel like these are problems that not really other sports deal with, in a sense. I feel like, I'm going to say this too. I've been holding this back for like 3 years now. The media really protects Denny Hamlin. I'm probably gonna get my butt kicked for that, but it's just been something I've been wanting to say for a while. The reason why I think that is because his podcast is on Dirty Mo. Obviously, Junior kind of backs him. That's why I've kind of been noticing it more and more and more, where I hear them always say the same thing, like how, you know, oh, he's so humble, he's such a great businessman, he's this, he's that, you know, they just kind of kiss up to him a little bit. I think he's just happy running the 500 select races. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, I think, what Junior will do as a Cup team. Run the 500, do some other, like the 600 and stuff like that, but yeah, the showcase at Fuji, yeah, that was cool. I love stuff like that. You know, Jimmy Johnson being involved with that, Kamui Kobayashi, Takuma Koga, Hideo Fukuyama was part of the broadcast wearing his old race suit. God, that was so cool. He was wearing a Dale hat. It was so cool. I think a good compromise would be Truck becomes a West Coast and Midwest series again, O'Reilly mostly South and Eastern, while Cup is fairly balanced. Sure, and there's different ways to approach it, but the question is, what's the right thing? Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I want to make sure that I'm reading your comments, because I don't want to feel like I'm ignoring them, but, good Lord, it's almost 8 o'clock. Okay, so I've noticed this too with like guys with like Gluck and Bianchi, where I feel like they, you know, they're kind of under that same network, and they kind of regurgitate those points that guys like Denny make. And when you look at this season, right, I'm not one of those people who say it's rigged for Toyota, it was part of the lawsuit. No, I'm not one of those people. You know, Toyota just has worked so much harder. There's a gnat on my arm. Toyota has worked a lot harder, and they are investing way more than Chevy and Ford are. But because the fact that Hamlin and 2311 have won all these races after everything that happened, while people on social media will say, oh, NASCAR deserves this and all this stuff, I think more so it's not a great look for the sport. And I think, you know, obviously you can kind of, for example, let's take the Hendrick domination from the mid to late 2000s and Toyota's domination now. People have been screamed it's rigged for Toyota for years now. That is true. The whole dim cheating Yoders thing. So the difference between the two is it's pointed to the fact that I think Hamlin has kind of been a problem. Now, he's a great driver. He's going to be a Hall of Famer with or without a title, 100%. I'm not mad because he's winning, but the circumstances of this whole thing, to me, just kind of, I'm worried it's going to badly affect the sport in a way. And I think that this lawsuit that we had did set the sport back. And that, you know, it's making this hero complex that people are putting on him, it's becoming a problem. And nobody's kind of calling it out. But I think, to me, that's why I'm seeing this stuff because I care and I love this sport so much, and this is just something I've been wanting to talk about. Honestly, I would kill for another Colorado race, even if Pikes Peak isn't going to be a part of it. Yeah, like a street race in Denver or something like that. Yeah. Excuse me. Hamlin, Reddick, and Heim and Briscoe. Yeah. And yes, Toyota has a great motorsports program, and even Toyota's been even all in with Jimmy because Jimmy, he was the first Toyota NASCAR owner to visit the Japan headquarters. He talked about this on his podcast with Marty Smith last year. What is this? Dem Dagum cheating Yoders. Oh my God, Dale's rolling. It's great. Hamlin's a first ballot Hall of Famer. If he wins the title, he's not if he doesn't win. He's won a lot of races. Can't speak. But, yeah, since I see Indy picks, just wanted to mention I absolutely pre-ordered Quaffel's race win, 124. Oh, nice. I've gotten a few cars. I got Jimmy's San Diego car, because I know that came home. Hi, Rose Jam. Good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Hope work's going well for you, man. But yeah, I want to just kind of talk about this whole thing. I know it's kind of difficult to talk about because I just feel like there's this group of people who actively are trying to push the sport back in a sense. And that's something where it's just becoming a concern. And there's been this discourse as well about how NASCAR shouldn't be like a sports league. And yes, we should aim to be authentic in our own way, right? We should be, but we are still constantly comparing to other sports in viewership and popularity, but we kind of refuse to acknowledge the changes that are made, what made them more popular. Like, Formula One has changed everything on how they present their sport, and it's paid off for them. The NFL, the NBA, the NFL's pushing for all these international games, and it's proven to work. So, and I mentioned the NHL thing, right? So, we always have years where one manufacturer dominates the sport. It's just how all motorsport is. But yeah, and yes, Toyota makes a crap ton of cars. I used to live right by the Georgetown, Kentucky plant during my high school years. So yeah, I can confirm that. But yeah, it goes, the domination goes in spurts. At one point, Roush was tearing it up. Then it was Hendrick. Then it was Gibbs and whatever else. But, that probably will happen in SNL too. Right now, it's kind of Childress and Penske. Then you might get Sapco. You might get AK or Bill Davis or somebody new comes along. I don't know. But, a few more things I will talk about. Number one, I've gotten annoyed with people saying we need to stop chasing fans that don't exist. We need to stop chasing this new fan. We need to stop creating new fans, essentially. We have one of the oldest fan bases there is, and the fans from the 90s who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s now. So, in my opinion, it's important to bring in new fans, and the culture in our sport just has to change, where this culture of everything sucks, it's not like the good old days anymore. Don't watch, it sucks. That's why I don't listen to Door Bumper Clear. That's why I don't listen to Actions Detrimental or any of Dirty Mo's stuff. It's just, I feel like it just kind of shares around the same, almost feels like agenda pushing, there's just something that has bothered me about it for a while now. But Toyota cheating is just as dumb of a narrative as Alex Palou cheating narrative in IndyCar. Alex Palou's just that damn good. What can you say? Hi, Epic Memer. How you doing? Legacy Motor Club has Scott Dixon, Tony Kanaan, and Dario Franchitti as part of the ownership group now. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe we'll see Legacy enter in the Indy 500 one of these years. Certainly possible. But, I'm looking at people like, hate to say it, Junior, Hamlin, Harvick, Gluck, Bianchi, Hamlin, this group of, the good old days is such a gatekeepy concept. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they're part of that same crowd that thinks that we need to return to our roots. And look, there's some aspects of it that are fine, right? But the moment you stop innovating and the moment you stop investing into the future, the shit will hit the fan, essentially. And it's happened before, with different companies and all that. So it's important to continue to innovate, to continue to invest into the future. I get the 90s were cool, but we got to stop with the boomer mindset. Yeah. And again, we can celebrate the sports history. We can celebrate how we got here. Never need to change that. But the culture in our sport and the mindset that we have, it has to change. And I hate to say it, but if Hamlin wins the championship this year, I feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because people will just kind of see this as, oh, the guy that sued the sport won the championship? Yeah. But, and I'll say this too. I love that they went back to the chase format, and I know Carson Hocevar. I want to talk about him real quick. I know I should have gotten into the director's commentary already. I apologize. There's been extremes on both ends. I've seen some comments on the first year they've raced at Chicago Street. Yeah, I mean, I remember I was at Gateway before they even ran the first street race at Chicago, and people are like, I want to go back to Joliet. And I almost want to say, like, oh, give this a chance. It could be cool. And guess what? We got something very memorable out of that. SVG. So we got to return to our roots. So you want us to race back to the line at 190 miles an hour and risk killing everybody. Think about what could have happened if we had the race back to the line in July 2015, if Dylan crashed with 2 to go. Right. And I care about safety, right? So I hate to sound this grim about it, but if NASCAR had kept the Gen 4 from 2003, the way it was then, all the way to now and never changed it, drivers would have died. I don't think Newman survives that wreck in 2020 with the Gen 4. I hate saying it like that, but the car tomorrow happened for a reason. The Gen 6, and people say like, well, it's because we lost Dale Earnhardt. Even if Dale hadn't died, we still would have gotten the car tomorrow, for sure. It may have looked a little different, but Corvette Racing, how you doing? I'm hoping for Blaney because Chase and Larson are just slumping hard. Yeah, and here's the thing, too. Carson Hocevar is 5th in points. He's doing better than the Hendrick guys. So anybody who says he can't drive, well, he's fifth in points. But and it's impressive because it's with Spire, a team that's kind of on the rise, right? But anyway, what was the other thing? What was I just talking about? So, yeah. The car tomorrow happened for a reason. And what I want to mention, too, is people talk about how the car tomorrow sucked. It was awful. The car looked awful. But also, they say that the O'Reilly Series has some of the best racing, which has the car tomorrow. So I just kind of wanted to point that out, too. The O'Reilly cars, the COT, and trucks have always had mostly the same design, which shows street races always could have been. Yeah, And by the way, the trucks at St. Pete, that was cool. That was awesome. And they ran the naval base, too. Loved seeing Jimmy run up front there. That was cool. Iceberg said Gen 4 had to go just because of how small it was inside and Michael Waltrip couldn't fit. Yeah. And again, innovation always happens. People hate change. That's a normal thing. Newman's other flip at Daytona in 2003 is a huge part to why he survived in 2020. And his flip in 2009 at Talladega when he introduced the Newman bar. It's insane that bar that he implemented for 11 years later saved his life. But I think it's always important, like, for example, freak accident happens, insane wreck happens. Great to see a driver walk away. I always am thankful that NASCAR goes, okay, let's take this to the R&D center. Let's take a look. What happened? What can we improve upon? I think we should always continue to do that. So, yeah, I kind of talked about how and yes, I do like the 2011, I call the 2011 version of the COT the cleaned up version. But, I wanted to talk about how I feel like there needs to be something in the media and the culture that changes. We can always critique things, we can always have constructive criticism, but there comes a point where things have gotten out of hand. And I wanted to address this again. You know, I'm open. You know, you don't have to agree with me. It's totally fine. But another thing I'll bring up too is did the stream start? Yes, this is general discussion thing, and I'm going to try and start this stream up here. This director's thing up here just shortly. But I want to talk about one more thing, and it involves Mr. Hocevar. So this goes back to how I was talking about how the media defends Denny a lot, and they do the same for Heim because that's kind of Denny's guy too. And obviously Hamlin did recruit a very talented driver. I'm not dismissing that. Corey Heim's very talented. I'll even argue he probably should have been cup racing last year. He's that good. But, you know, there's a whole rivalry between Hocevar and Heim. It dates back to the truck race in 2023 and all that. But, you know, there's a moment where, you know, Hocevar was very agitated with Heim and flipped him off. And I love that image. I was like, oh, that's what happened. Because obviously I was down on the other side of the track, so I didn't see what had happened. But I was like, damn. But you know what, though? Dale Earnhardt did that kind of stuff. You know, I hate that the circumstances of what happened here, but people were talking about like, oh, what Hocevar did was dangerous and he's being immature. But I feel like if the roles were reversed and Heim did that to Hocevar, they would be like, Heim's really showing, you know, he's got great personality, great character, he's so humble. And I'm like, come on. Hocevar and Heim kind of act similar in a sense. But I feel like when Hocevar says and does something, the media jumps on him and goes, you know, oh, he's being childish, he's being this. And then Heim does almost something similar, and they're like, you know, that's why he's the guy. You know, it's just like, they're both great drivers, okay? Those two are going to be duking it out for championships for years to come. But I do feel like there is a double standard there, where it's like, yeah. So, let me read these comments really fast. It's not all NASCAR fans, obviously. Some of them just have an extremely backwards way of the ideal NASCAR. Yeah, I have a feel similar way about Marshall Pruitt for IndyCar. Great journalist, but super negative about modern IndyCar sometimes. Right. And, you know, I'm not trying to bash people or call them out, but these are the names that I've kind of been seeing that's been involved with this problem. This is basically what I'm saying, right? As much as the 2014 high-speed package was fun, if they kept that package, it would have been a disaster in the making. Yeah, and you got to think, too, what do the manufacturers want, too? Because it's hard. But NASCAR has to do what's in best interest for everybody involved. Hocevar stuff immediately sells out. I can confirm this. The merch hauler that has all the Spire and Legacy and Hayek stuff had the longest lines. Hocevar, everybody was in line for Hocevar. You know, NASCAR needs Carson Hocevar more than Carson Hocevar needs NASCAR. So, and I know people are like, you know, oh, he's got one win. Like, yeah, but he's fifth in the points. He's outperforming Hendrick. Suarez has had a career year. Spire's on the rise. Like, that might be your next big super team. We'll see. People always mention when Hocevar spun Heim that in the truck race, when no one mentioned Heim waited on him intentionally. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody pointed that out. Because I did point that out because I watched that San Diego race. And I watched Heim chase down Hocevar. And deep down inside I went, Heim's going to dump him, isn't he? And I was like, son of a bitch, I was right. So, yes. That made me mad when I watched that back. Not the San Diego thing, the truck race. What made me mad about that was the fact that, like, dude, you are driving through the field. If the caution had come out for something else, you could have been in position to win the title. Because if I remember correctly, he was up to like 5th or 6th. And you threw away a chance at the title to get revenge on somebody. Now, again, these are two young guys. They're going to mature. It always happens. It happened for Joey Logano. Happened for Kyle Busch. I got to say it. Happened for all these guys. So, you know, it wasn't that long ago that Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace were yelling about Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart, you know? But yeah. So, Wolf Gaming, thank you for bringing that up. And it did cost Enfinger the title, even though I like Ben Rhodes. he's a Louisville boy, so I was just happy he won the title despite, and not to mention we had 9 cautions because of what Heim did. So, come on, man. Hocevar is entertaining and exciting. That's why I'm a proud Hosa bro. Like I said, man, I heard a lot of cheers. And most cheers were for him and SVG, Suarez. Logano had some cheers too, which is interesting. It was funny when he won Wilkesboro because he was like, "Oh my god, this is the first time people have ever cheered for me." So, I gotta wrap this up, man. But yeah, yes, Hocevar and Suarez. They have absolutely been putting together races. They both threw away the championship and gave it to Rhodes. Yeah. But you gotta admit, Ben Rhodes puts on good celebrations when he wins. But yeah, Hyman, Hocevar, that rivalry, I'll say this, could do wonders for this sport. It could, if done correctly. So that's something I wanted to point out too. I know I kind of yapped on, but that's just stuff I wanted to talk about. My uncle is a Logano fan. Nice. But at the end of the day, let me tie this back into SNL really quick, and then we'll jump into the 2002 video. I want to say the fact that Dale Sr. is someone who had respect for race fans all over the place. And he wanted to be, from everything I've seen, everything I've heard, he wanted to be involved in other series and bringing NASCAR to new places. He was all in with the Japan races. He was all in doing all these kinds of new things, even though he was, that hardworking blue-collar guy from North Carolina, right? The closest thing we have to that kind of mindset is Jimmy Johnson. You see what Jimmy Johnson's been doing with Legacy. He's going out to all these different places. I talked about how he visited the Toyota Japan headquarters. I actually managed to get him to sign my program because they had just wrapped up post-race. And Jimmy, what a guy. He's just signing autographs left and right. I finally just told him, like, hey, I really love the podcast you and Marty did. Because that was that, and he said, thank you so much. So, seriously, he was just signing away whatever. You're like, man, what a guy, But, especially that, yeah, and Jimmy's going to be on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's pretty cool. So, Jimmy can do it, even though his last start's coming in February with the 500. I think this is somebody who could have done a lot of the things that Dale could have done post-retirement. So, and I feel like in some cases, Jimmy never got the love that he probably could have gotten, despite being a 7-time champion. To watch the greatness from guys like him and even Kyle Busch has been an honor, looking back on it. And it feels like yesterday I was still watching Kyle whoop everyone's ass at Kentucky and watching Jimmy win those 5 championships in a row. Dale looked so natural driving that Corvette during the... Yeah, he did. He loved doing that kind of stuff. Jimmy loves doing that kind of stuff. So, in a sense, when it comes to that, the closest thing we have to that is Jimmy. In terms of the driver aspect of it, the closest thing was Kyle Busch. And at the end of the day, I want to celebrate racing. I want to show people why we should love racing. And I wanted to talk about the main issues that are still plaguing on our sport and how I feel like we can do better. I know we can. Because, I know we can. So if I say that kind of stuff on Twitter, that's why. And I'm saying this stuff now, and I just want to say thank you all so much for hearing me out. Thank you all. This was a great conversation. I'm perfectly fine if they sell the rivalry between Hocevar and Heim. I'm an aspiring Enfinger fan, but people have to remember that both of them have done... Yes, and we're all young and stupid, right? Even the greatest of all time have done things silly in the past, okay? Even guys like Jimmy Johnson back then made their mistakes. Joey Logano, I mentioned Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and all that, right? Rumor I heard was Dale. Yeah, I think Dale would have absolutely done the Le Mans if we didn't lose him. Jimmy looks so natural doing the Garage 56. Oh, hell yeah, he did. I think Hocevar, Ty Gibbs, and Heim are leading NASCAR's youth movement into the bright future like Junior, Kenseth, and Stewart did in 99, 2000. Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that. Obviously, and yes, Connor Zilic too, even though he's had some voodoo type magic or something on him, he's just been in the worst luck imaginable. And a lot of it hasn't been his fault. I feel so bad for him. You know, he's a funny guy, talented guy, great personality. Give Zilic time. There's his car right there. Love the Red Bull car. I need to get my butt to a Circle K and get one of those Red Bull cans. Anyway, so just give Zilic time. Remember, Joey Logano was a 19-year-old rookie. It took him a few years to figure it out. William Byron was a rookie at 20. It took him a few years to figure it out. So just give it time. It's been like 2.5 months now, but it feels like a fever dream that we're referring to Kyle Busch in past tense. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, just looking at that pile in Indy, just seeing Kyle Busch 1985 to 2026 and holding up the 8 fingers, it just, gosh, you know, I earned so much respect for what he did, and it's just like, damn it, such is life, right? Look at Ty Gibbs. He's just now starting to win. Ty Gibbs is another example, yes. And he had to get brought up a little sooner because of what happened to Kurt Busch. God, both Busch brothers did not get to finish their careers. Or at least on their own terms. Well, I'll make sure that happens in SNL. Don't worry. Yeah, Kyle Busch was offered the Indy 500. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much. I know I kind of went on long about that. But I'll leave with this before I begin the director's commentary. What Dale never had the chance to do and what Jimmy Johnson is doing is part of the reason why we decided that Jimmy was going to take the 3. That's why. That was part of the reason. That's why we had Jimmy take the 3. Because of the parallel between what Dale could have done and what Jimmy is doing now. So, and we really wanted to, hit that home. And it felt fitting to have Jimmy. Everything had lined up perfectly, and that's why we were having Jimmy take the number 3. And he definitely deserves it. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but yeah. 2012 and 13, we were calling Joey Logano a bust and saying that Penske was crazy for hiring him. Yeah, well, look what happened. Ugh, I need a drink. The 8 might be cursed. Well, hard to say, But I know Richard Childress did save that exact number 8 for Brexton whenever he comes up and whoever he drives for. I hope we get more SNL throwbacks, by the way. Yeah, I'm sure it's something that we could probably do later on down the road, but obviously we're just trying to get forward things in the 2000s. So, again, I know that was kind of an earful. I know that was a lot, but I just kind of wanted to talk about the issues that I've been seeing and, I want this channel and all of us to do something really special and celebrate racing and showcase why we all love it. Whether it's, the guys working their butts off in ARCA to just, be able to get out there and enjoy themselves, and obviously, all, from the trucks to O'Reilly to Cup, and why we love NASCAR. Jet, thank you for reminding me. I've been yapping. Hold on. 1 second. There we go. All right, I'm gonna fix this real quick, and I'm gonna show you all the teaser for the next Racing Infinity. All right, and then we'll jump into the director's commentary. So I've been. Goodness gracious, what was I doing with the last order? Yeah, should work. Okay. Excuse me. Here we go. Yeah, should work. Okay. Here is your Racing Infinity teaser. Let's see. I don't mind Joey anymore. He's an elder statesman now. Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about that. He's like, He's been racing so long. I respect Joey a lot. He also does a lot for the sport as well. He gets himself out there, which I'll go back to the Wendy's thing, by the way. We need more stuff like that. Like Mike Joyce talked about how we need more activation and stuff like that in the sport. I agree. And Wendy's has been doing that. Red Bull has been doing that. So, think about Carson Hocevar getting Chili's and Spectrum, and potentially we've heard Monster maybe. So, yeah. It's crazy that Joey's still only 36. Yeah, Joey could go like another 7 years if he wanted to. Someone is shooting someone in the house behind me, launching off fireworks. 4th of July was a month ago. What the? Oh, man. That's funny. It's always funny because here in the Midwest, like, it'll be like July 7th and people are still shooting out fireworks. Like, how many more fireworks do y'all have? But yeah. Ride the Dente. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I almost want to call Hocevar the most electrifying man in motorsports. Not trying to steal the Rock's thing, but, he's going to kick your kidney ass. But anyway, here is your Racing Infinity teaser. I won't give too much away, but I'm just going to say that, number one, there's a direct correlation. That's it. It's going to go from Ride the Dente to Ride the Monster. Joey's on pace to become NASCAR's new Ironman by 2031 if he doesn't miss any races. Oh, damn. I could see it happening. That'd be crazy. Ironman Joey. And let me just say, like, I talked about double standards. Here's my theory. If Hamlin or Reddick do not win the championship this year and someone like Logano or Hocevar does, are people suddenly going to say the chase is bad, we need to get rid of it? I have a feeling. Anyway. So yeah, there's your little sneak peek of the next Racing Infinity. As I'm trying to find my words. Okay. Good Lord. The director's commentary should have started like 22 minutes ago. Anyway. Logano does more appearances at NASCAR nights for other sports than any other drivers. And yes, he does. You need drivers doing that. And Shane's been doing that too, with the whole Wendy stuff. Because, SVG, I mean, seriously. What a guy. Okay. So, if you guys don't have any more questions or anything like that, again, thank you all so much for hearing me out on that. Feel free to discuss that stuff anytime. This platform is here for that. So thank you. Okay. Without further ado, I'm not going to whine they bring the playoffs. I like that they actually talk about points again. Yeah. And I think the chase format that we have now is the best of both worlds. It does award more consistency while still trying to put an emphasis on winning. So I think it's the best of both worlds. Anyway, I just say that because some people will just be flat out mad because Hamlin didn't win the title. Anyway, let's jump into this. Display capture. Okay. Hold on, I gotta make sure the speaker thing is on. There we go. Okay. Let me know if the volume needs to be adjusted at all, okay? In life, the story is never truly over. The year 2002 was defined even by your Logano's just waiting to show up. That's even your Joey, man. 2001, the next season in NASCAR saw the rise of its guard. We're going to go all the way up to the Cup part, and we'll stop there. And then we'll do the Cup part on another stream. The greatest rookie duel in NASCAR history. The stories of legends began to be written in the backdrop of the Intimidator's legacy. In this timeline, Dale Earnhardt is still here, racing into his 50s while building a team primed for the future. Simultaneously, time marches on, and as new names begin to win, the story of the sport evolves. If you ever see these videos have a random fade of black, I don't know what Vegas does or what I'm doing in Vegas, but like,
scoring the Busch
there's
Series
this weird
championship.
thing that keeps
The
happening
next
where
generation of Richard Childress racing has arrived. And
the-
at the same time,
I like to do
the
like a
next
second
generation of
long
teams have
fade
arrived
between
with it.
clips,
Dodge
but then
hopes
it'll
to
like to
grow
make
with
this
young
longer
Casey
fade than it
Elliott
should, and
finally
it's really
earning
weird.
his first win
So I'm
for
kind of like,
Evernham.
why does it do that?
Bill Davis Racing continues to steadily improve.
Funny
Jeff
stories
Gordon
from the
finally
making of
hopes to break
2002.
into championship contention.
Oh
And of
man,
course, the Earnhardt family legacy.
I'm trying to
will
think
continue
what
as
stands
Dale
out.
looks to build his own team.
Obviously, like
NASCAR is evolving in the 21st
during the
century,
editing of the
just
video,
as the world at large
you know,
is. 2001 is a year that
it's
will be
not
remembered,
funny at all, of
but
course,
the story of the sport
you know,
never stops.
because obviously
What new names
I
will
was
we name
literally in the
2002?
midst of editing this
And
video
will one of
when
NASCAR's recent
they
stars
announced
take
Kyle
the
Busch
crown,
passed away.
or will new
You know,
champions
my friend Michael
perhaps even
literally
unexpected
called me as
ones,
I'm working on it,
truly usher in the
and
sport's next
he
era?
asked me, you know,
It's a new year.
did you hear the
new
news? And I
stories
went, of
waiting
Kyle Busch.
to
I'm
be
like,
rewritten.
I heard he was sick. What happened? And he said, they just announced he passed away. And I felt like time had stopped. But, yeah, I just couldn't edit the video for the rest of the
NASCAR's
day
new
after that.
millennium moves forward into 2002.
In terms of
And
funny
as veterans
stories,
and rookies alike look to climb to the top.
I hate to say this. Jet, do you know of any funny things that happened while we were making this video? Because I feel like I gave off something depressing there, and I want to give something better.
Series, where in 2001 we saw Scott Pruitt conquer the series and take home the championship for Team Sabco. Pruitt will return to stock GT competition and is looking to go back to back.
Running races when
Moving on now to
I
silly
got deleted.
season, Chip Ganassi Racing expands its operation to a 4-car team, adding the number 01 U.S. Army Dodge.
I found out
for
from a Discord friend about Kyle's
24-year-old
passing.
Casey Mears, nephew of Rick Mears. Mears is one of the 4 new
Casey
rookies
Mears.
this season. There's also 21-year-old Paul Menard looking to make his way up the NASCAR
Both my
ladder.
sisters texted me.
He's piloting a new second
Because, like,
car
when he
for
told
Team
me that,
Menard. Brent Sherman
I
joined
jumped
Michael
onto
Crane
Twitter
versus
immediately, and
team,
that was the first thing I
piloting
saw.
number 37 Surly
And
Ford.
I felt like I
Last
said,
of the rookies
I felt like I
features
was living in a
Winston
damn
West driver
simulation.
Brandon Ash driving
But,
for his family team. Also, a new team
I just
debuting
kind
on
of-
the circuit is
I literally broke
TRG,
down and
the
cried out.
Racers Group.
I literally
Number
just
66
lost
Pontiac
control of my
for Chris
emotions
Neville.
after we got
And
done
for our
calling.
part-timers this season,
And I went,
Andy
what the
Pilgrim
fuck,
and
God, this
Ellie
isn't
Torres
funny.
Robinson will once again be making select
As,
starts. And
You know,
lastly,
I don't mean to
Dale
say something
Earnhardt
like that,
will
but in
once
that
again
moment, I was
run a
just,
one-off at Daytona.
I just went,
The
are you
2002
serious?
Stock GT schedule
Why?
expands
You know?
to 11 races with 2
there's
new
Ty
venues.
Gibbs winning his first race
Canada's
2 days
Stock
after Matt
GT
Kenseth.
race
Oh,
moves
yeah.
to a new
Yeah,
venue,
that was a
as
funny one. Yeah,
Montreal is
that's right.
replaced with Mosport in Ontario.
Yeah, because I think we brought that up before, where
Due to the schedule,
Ty Gibbs won
the
his first
iconic
race 2 days
Laguna
after
Seca
I had
racetrack.
ran the 2002
Another race
Daytona
out
500.
west. The
So I was
season
like,
will once
huh,
again
I'll be
begin at
goddamn.
Daytona and end in Riverside.
Oh, yeah, the U.S. Army
And
01
now
still
we take you to
exists.
Daytona, where the
That's-
2002
yeah.
season is officially underway as Scott Pruitt
That's a
and
good
Anthony
point.
Lazaro lead
We still get
field
the
to
U.S.
green
Army
flag.
01 car.
It didn't
Just
take
like how we
long
still got
for
the
our
DeWalt
defending
17.
champion to build himself a good lead as Juan Fellow settled in the second.
Well,
At
in
the
a
halfway
sense,
point,
you mentioned
Juan
that, Brian.
Fellows got around Scott Pruitt
Sometimes
to take
God
the
works
lead,
in mysterious
but
ways.
Pruitt went to pit
It
shortly
seemed right
after.
that Suarez and Spire won
As
that
the battle
race,
for second started to heat
the
up,
600.
Butch Letzinger
considering
spun
that,
out in the
like-
chicane. Then after that, Alfonso Ribeiro and
Ow.
Larry
Considering the
Gunselman
fact
got
that, like,
together coming out of the chicane.
You know,
Then the saga finished up
I feel like
with
Kyle
Rick
gave a
Ware
lot
spinning
to
out
help
in the
Spire
chicane
out, and
as well.
this was Kyle's way of saying, like,
Afterwards, Scott
look,
Pruitt and Ron
Joe
Fellows
Gibbs, you guys
duke
are
it
going to
out,
get so many
swapping the
wins.
lead back and
I want
forth.
Spire
The
needs
two
this
Sabco
moment.
drivers were
in a
putting
way.
on a show. With 3 to go, Larry Foyt spun out and Paul Menard ran into him. He tried to get it going,
Oh,
but
Claybill?
Rick Ware then bumped
I've seen
into
some of
him,
his videos,
giving
yeah.
Menard heavy damage. The race would end under caution, and Scott Pruitt's title defense is off to a great start as he wins at Daytona. At the next race at Sebring, rookie Casey Mears and defending champion Scott Pruitt would lead the field to the green flag for the second race of the season at Sebring. And while Casey Mears had a great start, the uphill battle was on.
Now, the
As he
DeWalt
had to go
17 is
against
truly a
one of the
coincidence
best
since
road
Gibbs had to use
racers
the
of
17
current time.
instead of the 18 over a
After
decade
pit
ago.
stops and with
That's
3
true.
to go, it became a 3-car battle between Casey Mears, Scott Pruitt, and Sean Woodson.
Why do some drivers
Mears had to
crash in the
switch
first
to
turn of the
playing
chicane?
defense to protect his lead. And if he could hold off,
I think it's just how the way the track was made, or maybe it has to do with the mod. But I think it has to do with the track, the way it was made. It's kind of like how I had to change Daytona's way back when because of that weird glitch that happened on the backstretch. I was like, man, I can't be doing this.
First career win. And the rise
I still think it would be funny if Jeff Gordon eventually switches to the Hendrick 24. Suarez earned that win. Yes, he did. Suarez 100% earned that win. I was literally driving back from my friends watching it because I had to go to work early in the morning, and I had the race playing on my phone. I was going to stop at a gas station, and then I'm like, I heard they called it. I went, yes! Daniel, yes! I was at a stoplight going crazy.
Picking up the win in Portland. Then at Heartland Park,
let's see.
We had some new faces up front.
Squared is starting the 06 season. Yeah! I like Squared's content. He makes some good videos. Really good quality with his videos.
This race was calm, but had a wild...
No, Suarez's win was legit. It was legit. He earned that. He's had a career year, man. I'm happy for him. Seriously, I've always liked the guy, so
the Corvette team
happy for him.
To a 1-2 finish with Boris Said winning his first race of the season. Here we are at the first of two new venues for Stock GT.
Casey Mears.
As Canada's date moves from Quebec to Ontario, and this race did not disappoint. The
Speaking of Mosport,
Fellows started on pole in this one,
or
but
Mosport, excuse me.
Fight for the lead, with Mark Simo taking the lead in the first set of S's, clearing him before Fellows bumped back for the lead in the hairpin.
I'm gonna put Casey in the chat every time Casey Mears wins a race.
For a while, but Simo wouldn't go away.
He was very impressive. Very impressive his rookie season.
Point on the start-finish straight.
You all are going to be scared whenever we end up giving the Cup 24 to a different team. It'll have to happen eventually with the team that fits it. Yeah, that's true.
Simo, Tony Ave, and Boris Said. Ave got the closest to him in the final 3 laps, including taking it side by side with a lap and a half to go. But Simo managed to defend it on the outside, got room to finish the job.
Who is Squared? Squared does like a driver career, basically like a driver career instead of like what I do. And he has like his own driver, and he races all the races and stuff. But yeah,
started on the pole. But he surrendered the
Casey Mears is 3 starts away from 500. Can't wait for him to reach 500.
Yeah,
of course he ran at Indy this past weekend. It was great to see Casey out there still racing, honestly. You know, I still remember as a kid watching him qualify for the pole on TV for the Brickyard, and yeah, so it makes me happy to still see guys like him out there. I like in our 2003 creators. Yeah, absolutely.
After Mid-Ohio, Boris Said had a 21-point lead over Casey Mears and a 28-point lead over Scott Pruitt as the championship battle continues to heat up. As for the next race at Lime Rock, it was a dominating performance from P.J. Jones. From start to finish,
P.J. Jones.
He would lead the entire way.
Page's
and go
brother.
On to pick up the win. The early season rivalry between Pruitt and Mears
Lime Rock comes back for trucks next year. I like that they're going there.
Starting on the pole. But Mears had a rough start,
and that's a different market too, up in the Connecticut area.
And with that,
less more. Oh yeah, less more. Yeah. I love seeing the creativity that NR 2003 brings. Honestly,
Darren Brasfield
it's
and
awesome.
Fittipaldi. However, the defending champion would lead wire to wire. And Scott Pruitt gets his second win of the season and establishes himself as the favorite amid a very competitive season. The second of our new tracks and our new date on the schedule looked like it had real upset potential, as rookie Paul Menard scored the pole and he was leading early. Menard had to hold off Jeff Davis early in this one, but pit strategy turned the race from a 2-car battle to a 4-car battle, with Mark Simo jumping both of them in the corkscrew as they fought for spots. But Simo was able to pull away, and the California native wins the inaugural race in Monterey. Paul Menard comes up short in second, but makes a statement with a great run, and in the most laps led in upper mid-pack equipment. he could be one to watch in the coming years. Out in the desert, Mark Simo looked to have a promising day as he would start from the pole. But going into turn 1 on the
Linebrock
first
is
lap,
probably
he
too
was
small
ran
for a
over
cup
by
race,
Boris Said,
but running
sending
cup cars there at
Simo
Forza
around
Motorsport
and
is awesome.
collecting Menard,
Oh,
who
hell yeah.
started in 4th. Scott Pruitt would take over the lead.
Speaking
He
of
would
fork
go
in the
lead
road,
for a majority of the race.
I ran into
But
that guy
things
again at
started
Indy.
getting tense with 11 laps to
It was
go,
great getting to
and
chat with him for a
Paul
bit
went
and
for a spin to
all
bring
that,
up the
so,
caution.
yeah.
We then restarted with 7 to go.
I talk with him on
Perhaps
Instagram a
thanks
bit.
to the lap car of Mike Borkowski,
And yeah,
Christian
life is
Fittipaldi
life.
Gets past Pruitt to take the lead. Fittipaldi was looking for his first win
If I could make
in
my own
NASCAR.
NR 2003 timeline, it would
Then
start.
coming to 4 to go, the caution
It
came
would
out
start in
again,
2004,
as
just be
Mark
different.
Simo
I
ran
feel like
over
that's a good
David
year to
Ruman,
start on. Yeah.
And they both went for a spin. This would set up for a quick late restart with 2 to go, as Fittipaldi, Pruitt, and the lap car of Borkowski went 3 wide going into turn 1. But Pruitt couldn't keep it together, and he would end up losing spots. Alfonso Ribeiro, meanwhile, would get around Pruitt for second, and with that, Christian Fittipaldi hangs on and wins for his first career Stock GT win. And
Fittipaldi.
this takes us to the season finale at Riverside, as Mark Simo started on the pole again, but he would lose the lead.
There's one of those
quick to
weird
Tony
fades
Abe
that I don't
and
catch
Ron
sometimes.
Fellows. Fellows, however, would lead for most of the race, but never could break
Menard for
away
the
from
college
Scott
25.
Pruitt. With
Oh,
just
that would
3
be
laps
cool if
to
he was
go,
one of the free agent
Fellows
drivers.
and Pruitt were
That'd be
dueling
cool.
for the lead, and while Fellows did all he could to hold off Pruitt, it was only inevitable, as Scott Pruitt took the lead.
I do like the
and
visual
never
edits that
looked back. He
I ended up
started
making with some of these
2002 in
tracks.
Victory Lane, and that's exactly how he will end it too, as Scott Pruitt took the checkered flag and would win his second championship at Riverside, as Scott Pruitt goes back-to-back in the Kodak Grand Am Stock GT Series. Absolute domination from Scott Pruitt, but also very competitive, as we had quite the assortment of winners this season, including the rise of drivers like Casey Mears. As we take a look at the winners and the final standings from the 2002 Kodak Grand Am Stock GT Series season. Another fantastic season by Scott Pruitt as he wins the championship by 108 points. And what a year by Casey Mears. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about him down the road.
There we go. All right.
Next up is the 2002 NASCAR DuPont Super Sportsman Series, as we watch the rise of an unexpected star. Nathan Hosley came into last season unknown, but everybody knows him now, as he ended up becoming the 2001 champion. Hosley will be back in the series with Rick Hendrick this season, looking to build an impressive 2001 season. Moving on,
Scott Pruitt did
season,
run us some
AK
races in
Racing
Cup.
expands to a 2-car operation.
Off the top of my head, I
as
don't remember where he
newcomer Johnny
finished.
Sauter pilots the number 11 Motocraft Ford, looking to follow in Jay's footsteps. He will be teammates to the number 7 of Scott Wimmer. New to the Super
I like the
Sportsman
song that I
Series
used
is
for
Rusty
the
Wallace
Super Sportsman
Incorporated,
Series.
expanding beyond their Truck Series team. The team will field the number 64 Wells
Cars
Fargo
reference.
Ford for Angie Wilson. Tina Gordon,
You knew I had to.
full-time this season, piloting the number 66 Dodge for Welliver Jessel Racing. And lastly, for the full-timers, Bill Elliott's team picks up Jason Rudd for a full-time run in the number 94. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s late model team, Junior Motorsports, will also enter a part-time car in the series, with Amber Cope getting some seat time, as well as 23-year-old TJ Majors. Larry Foyt moves over to AJ Foyt's team on a part-time basis. And lastly,
Yeah,
Amco
Scott Pruitt, yeah, he was a
Motorsports
full-time
runs
driver.
A part-time car for David Rudiman.
Ah, yes.
As for the schedule,
The rise of David Rudiman,
moves
just
up
how it
towards the
intended.
early portion of the season, while Minnesota moves over from the Super Truck Series schedule. Nashville takes Bristol's spot on the schedule. We return to Disney World for the opening race of the 2002 season, as teammates Scott Wimmer and Johnny Sauter
Get in, we're going to
lead the
Disney
field
World.
with green flag, looking to make some magic happen. The race was rather calm, as Wimmer led for the first half. However, past
Isn't there
halfway,
where those
Johnny Sauter
damn
chased
fades?
down Scott Wimmer after dealing with all
I'm
kinds
trying to do
of
better to
traffic.
catch those.
Sauter made the move on the outside to eventually take the lead before green
Yeah, this
flag
season
pit
was
stop.
also like the rise
And
of
despite the
Johnny
pit
Sauter.
stops, Johnny Sauter
Where's Blaze
would not
Alexander
look
driving
back,
in
and
2002?
in his
He is
debut
driving
race,
the
he
0-2
would win
in the Winston Cup
season
for
opener
Roger Penske
at
as a
Walt
fourth car.
Disney World. Perhaps another prospect to keep
So Blaze
our
Alexander
eyes on.
is in the Cup Series.
Scott Wimmer scored the pole again.
I'm
for the
dating a
next
Disney
race at
adult, so I'm
Rockingham.
devastated that track
Angie
is gone.
Wilson was next to him.
I know it
Wimmer
was
led
very
the first few
difficult
laps
to
as
make the
the
track
defending
work, and I
champion
wish there was a
Oswald
way they
jumped to
could have
second. But
found a
on
way
lap
to keep
4,
it going.
caution would come out when Billy Venturini went up into
David
Kurt
Ayrton
Shelmerdine
Senna
and sent
Ruderman.
them both across the
That
infield
Motorcraft
grass
11 is
with
gorgeous, holy
Shelmerdine
crap.
spinning.
Oh, I'm glad you love it. I love how that car came
The
out.
field would pit early as Wimmer kept the lead at the restart with Hosley in second. On lap 23, Wimmer was challenged by Ron Barfield as Barfield would take the lead. Then on lap 37, Nathan Hosley attempted to throw a block on Johnny Sauter, but it goes wrong fast as Hosley gets turned into the wall in turn 1 to bring out the caution. Barfield remained the leader at the restart on lap 42, with Wimmer second and Angie Wilson in third. Then on lap 48, Scott Wimmer would take the lead back from Barfield, and with 28 to go after pit stops, it was a new leader out in front, that being Billy Venturini of Joe Gibbs Racing. Despite his early run-in with Kurt Shelmerdine, it was all Venturini leading. In the closing laps, Travis Quaffle did everything he could to chase the 17 down, and maybe with a couple more laps, he would have gotten it. But it was Billy Venturini taking home the win at Rockingham. We had an interesting race in Nashville with the champ Hosley on pole, but we had a few other leaders thanks to a lot of passing on pit road. Johnny Sauter and Jason Schuler had laps in the lead, but an unexpected driver would steal the show late. That would be David Rudeman in just his second
Still
start
laugh over
in
this
the
because it's
second
just kind of like,
part-time Nemco car.
how in the
Rudeman
world?
leapfrogged to the lead on pit road while running inside the top 10 and had to hold off a closing Billy Venturini for the lead. Venturini closed in on him.
Makes
the
for a
last
good story,
25
though.
Laps.
I'm definitely
By the
intrigued to
last
see
15,
how.
he was on his bumper, but he couldn't move.
I'm definitely intrigued to see how
Venturini
David
tried to
Ruderman
get
does
low with
in
3 to
2003
go,
here.
but was not able
Why
to.
does Rockingham
Then
look
on the final
different?
lap, we had a bumper run attempt.
I
Venturini
switched
took to the
from,
bumper
I think,
of Rudeman
Rockingham
in 3, and welcome to victory
98.
lane, David Rudeman.
Basically, I started using the default Rockingham
Do we
just to
have a
fit
potential
more
late bloomer on our hands?
with the times.
Kirk
So.
Shelmerdine led the field to the
Hudeman,
green flag at
Rudeman.
Atlanta, and it was a wild race with many lead changes.
But yeah, that's why
9 laps in,
some tracks may look
Venturini
different because
took
I
the
started
lead.
using the
Then by lap
2003
20,
version
it
of
was
those
Jason
tracks
Jarrett
to
taking
kind
the
of
lead.
fit with the times. Of course, there are
Green flag
exceptions
pit
such
stops
as
took place halfway
Atlanta
through
here.
as Hermie Sadler went into Kirk Shelmerdine, and they both go up the track, and Mario Goslin runs into Sadler, and a few cars got collected in the aftermath.
And of course, more cars drive right into them.
Jason Jarrett led the field back to the green flag and led for a bit until Amber Cope took the lead. For
David
Junior
Ruderman's
Motorsports.
gonna be hunted down by the
Then with
Nashville
30 to go,
Carrots.
Scott Wimmer took the lead, and he would eventually
God.
then lose the lead to Mike Dillon.
Uh,
Then Nathan Hosley would take the lead after pit stops in what has been an exciting race, but eventually Mike Dillon would take the lead back with 13 laps to go, and he would drive away for his first win of the season at Atlanta. Nathan Hosley started on pole at Louisiana and rocketed out to a big lead over Travis Quaffle. But things got interesting after a yellow during pit stops for Curtis Markham, and that changed the running order a lot. Jason Rudd took over
Arkham
the
breaks
lead
moment.
and battled Billy Venturini through traffic before Venturini faded alongside the others.
Louisiana.
The younger Rudd mastered lap traffic and pulled ahead quickly. And Jason Rudd, the nephew of Ricky Rudd, picks up his first career win in the Super Sportsman Series. That's 3 first career wins in 5 races as we're set for a very competitive season. We had a very competitive race at Wisconsin with Travis Quaffle starting on the pole in the 3. Quaffle
No,
pulled ahead
Ruderman would
for an
chase
early
them.
lead,
Ruderman's
slowly
won
chased
at
down by Johnny
his
Sauter
first
and
of 5
Jason Jarrett,
F1 tracks in
all
Nashville.
of whom took
Yep.
the lead in that traffic. Pit strategy messed up Quaffle and Sauter's day when
Oh,
Robert
God.
Huffman struck Dillon in the pit cycle, ironically off Mike Dillon, bringing out a yellow. Jason Schuler took over the lead with Jason Rudd.
Yeah,
and
we've
Mike Dillon
painted a
behind.
lot of cars for
Schuler had a
2003,
great
and
restart and took the lead
really
early.
love how some of these are
Jason
coming
Rudd had a
out.
better
So
long-run car,
I think you'll
took
all
the
like
lead
them.
with 20 laps to go, while Schuler and Dillon battled behind. It looked like Rudd was set to take home his second win, but that was until he ran out of fuel with 5 laps to go. Rudd had to pit, and no one else had to. He was all alone and fell to 13th, while behind him, Jason Schuler took the lead back, and he would hold Mike Dillon off for his second career win and his first of 2002. We head next to Lowe's Motor Speedway for the 10th race of the season, as ARCA star Frank Kimmel won the pole, with Jason Jarrett starting in second. Kimmel led for a few laps early on, but then Billy Venturini would take the lead and pretty much led for a majority of the race. Close to 40 laps to go, we had a big wreck during green flag pit stops as Rene Dupuis and Curtis Markham got together, going up the track and into Travis Quaffle.
Can't believe I'm saying this, but Rusty Wallace is outside the top 35 in honors points. He might have to use the championship for Arsenal. Oh, jeez.
Barfield, Gerhardt, Tina Gordon, and Rich Bickle were involved as well.
Yeah, my big thing with Rusty at SNL are two things. Can he win the Daytona 500 finally? And is he going to get a 6th and 7th championship to tie Richard Petty? Right? Will it happen? Well, the window's kind of starting to close on him, you know? He retired in 2005 in real life. Depending on how he does, you know, who knows? Maybe he races a little longer. Hard to say, but, you know, can Super Rusty get himself that Daytona 500? It's definitely a big one.
Until lap 56, when he ran into the broken 59 car of Bobby Gerhardt.
It's broke.
Hosley did have some damage, but was able to keep going. This, however, would bring out the caution.
Jay, you gotta move.
Billy Venturini then took over the lead for the restart, and shortly after, he would lose the lead to Rod Barfield. Barfield dominated and was on his way to his second win of the season until around 15 laps to go, when he lost the lead to both Jason Schuler and Hermie
That
Sattler.
meme is everywhere.
Sattler taking the lead. And
another Rusty question is, can he win the Southern 500? You said the 6-7 thing.
2002.
Oh, yeah.
At South Boston.
You know what? I want to point this out. I forgot to mention this earlier. When I was standing there looking up at Victory Lane at IMS, and I just made the comment and said, you know, I wonder if a lot of kids are going to become fans of Corey Haim because of his number. And the guy in front of me went, oh yeah, my daughter's a big fan of, my kids are a big fan of Corey Haim because of his number. And he told me that there was a Trans Am race there earlier this year, and they kept giggling whenever the 67 car went by, which I'm like, you know, it sounds silly, but that's a missed opportunity. They ought to take advantage of that. But they were like, nah, that's a stupid number. I'm like, yeah, but it might get new folks into the sport. Try it. See what happens. He's won 2 races in the dang number. Which, by the way, don't forget that Joey Logano also 6'7" at North Wilkesboro. I literally watched it. He was like, you know, I'm past about 6-7 cars. Get it? 6-7. I'm like, Joey! It just started laughing. We're also brain rotted. Damn it!
When the 7 of Scott Wimmer ran into the back of him.
I really hope Haim decides to keep the 67. There's still time left to reconsider. I mean, why not? It sounds silly, but if it gets younger fans into the sport, screw it. You know, take advantage of it.
Billy Venturini has been strong so far.
Can Rusty? I think Rusty's won the Southern 500 in SNL. Because I actually have a thing where I keep track of Grand Slammers. Oh, let's see.
In part-timer Martin Church Jr. in 3rd, Frank Kimmel in 5th. Mike Dillon led early before surrendering it to Scott Wimmer.
Southern 500. So Rusty won the Southern 500 in SNL in 1997 and 1998. He just needs the 500 to complete the Grand Slam.
Both got around Grubb. but got stuck between lappers, going 4 wide.
We have
with
2
him
Grand
before
Slammers,
Barfield
Shauna
spun
Robinson
off Shelmerton's
and
bumper
Alan
from the
Kowicki,
lead.
fun fact.
As the lineup fixed itself, Shelmerdine led Jason
Matt Kinson
Stewart
and Blaze
Mark
Alexander really
David
stepped in
Ruderman
2002.
looking to strike again. In the
Yeah,
final 25
those two are
laps,
definitely going to be
David
fighting for
Ruderman took
championships.
second, and Kurt Shelmerdine pit early
In our 2003 helped
before
Rusty
another
Wallace
yellow
have the
for
same storyline as
Travis
Dale.
Quaffle
It has a
Lucky,
mind of its own
taking
and when
out
it wants to
Nathan
be.
Hosline in the
That is
process,
true.
Giving David Ruderman the lead once again.
Dude, I've had
Hold on in
Brian,
the
I've had a lot of
7
instances
laps
where I've
straight.
looked at my phone
Do you believe it?
and then I look at the
David
battery
Ruderman
and it says
wins once
67.
again.
I looked at it now, it
He
said
wins
65, so I thought I was
the
going to do it again.
If, or rather when, he goes full-time next year. At
Really,
IRP, we had another Toyota pole as
Alex
Robert
Bowman's
Huffman
going to use the
starts
67 if 23
Bella from the
gets
start to
Oh my
Jason
god.
Rudd. We had a lot of Jasons up front in this one, as Jarrett, Rudd, and Jason Schuler.
The trio
all
of
ran in
Jasons.
front, with Rudd pulling ahead with the lead just past halfway.
IRP, I was just there.
We had a thrilling battle late, as the field needed to pit with 11 to go. Rudd and Jarrett came in the same lap with
Excuse
Rudd
me.
in front, but they came out side by side with Jason Jarrett making the jump. Rudd stayed on his bumper in the final laps and looked for room, but couldn't make any of them work, and Jason Jarrett gets his first win of the season in a very exciting battle for the win. Over the course of the next few races, Nathan Hosley has since had a slip-up, and he needs a major comeback run for the title. It got off to a good start with him on pole at North Wilkesboro, but then major championship implications just 4 laps in as
Major
Billy Venturini
implications.
crashes out of the race. He lost it after making contact with Tina Gordon and slams the inside wall, and he gets a few others involved.
2.5 Jasons.
This race saw plenty of cautions with many incidents.
David Ruderman wins the
starting in
2003
turn
Super
4.
Sportsman Championship,
Mike
calling
Cope,
it now.
Rene Dupuis, and Ron
You know what?
Barfield are among the culprits.
I think there's a possibility of
The
that.
latter of which triggered a big mid-pack stack-up that Takuma Koga avoided
We'll have to
miraculously.
Wait and see what happens
Up
there.
front, it was a 3-car battle. Hosley, Quaffle, and once again, David Ruderman. How impressive from Ruderman. Thankfully for the defending champ, Black Cars Ashton Lewis and Lyndon Amick helped block Quaffle. Nathan Hosley rebounds for his 4th win of the year at a time where he needs it the most. And things would get even more interesting at the very next race over in Hickory. Johnny Sauter scored the pole with Hermie Sadler in second for this one, as Sauter built an early lead. 20 laps in, however, new points leader Jason Jarrett takes the lead from Sauter. Jarrett at one point got out to a 7-second lead, even lapping the likes of Billy Venturini and Nathan Hosley.
You're driving like a
Then on lap
maniac. I like it.
74, Jarrett's teammate Kirk Shelmerdine blows an engine.
Yeah, feel free to
ending
ask
his
about
day.
uh,
At first,
paint
Jarrett had a
schemes or anything
comfortable
like
lead
that.
with the lead
You know,
pack
obviously
on the
ask
tail
away.
end of the lead lap. But then another caution came out when TJ Majors spun Rene Dupuis, with Bigley and Goslin scraping the wall just to avoid it. Jared got a good restart as he was able to put a couple of lap cars between him and Dylan. But that got erased fast when Tina Gordon slid up into Billy Venturini. Venturini's championship woes continue. With less than 25 to go, Jared didn't get as good of a restart, causing Johnny Sauter to chase him down and take the lead. Jared tried to fight back, but would end up finishing 5th, as Johnny Sauter picks up his 3rd win of the season at Hickory. Rudd was 4th, Jared was 5th, Takuma Koga got a great run in 6th, and Mike Dillon was 8th. The championship fight only continues to get intense. Jason Jarrett holds a 63-point lead over Mike Dillon, and a 92-point lead over Jason Rudd. Mike Dillon scored the pole for the race at Ileana, and he kept it that way, leading all race long. At one point, Jason Rudd did take the lead for a few laps, giving 5 bonus points. But then Dillon took it right back. Halfway through, the caution came out when Hermie Sadler spun the 92 of Rich Bickle. Mike Dillon would go on to pick up a crucial win, helping him in the standings. Venturini finished 3rd, Rudd in 4th, and Jarrett 8th. Jason Jarrett now
Excuse me.
only has a 10-point lead over Mike Dillon,
Whew.
with just 2 races to go. We return to Memphis for a thriller, as Frank Kimmel and Hermie Sadler led the field to the green flag. The ARCA champ led for the first 5
In this
laps,
timeline, Jarrett
lost the
Labonte's
race to
stock
Johnny
car
Sauter.
racing actually makes
As that was
sense.
going
Yes,
on,
it does.
Mike Dillon and Billy Venturini worked their way forward.
Oh, Memphis.
while
This was
Jason
another
Jarrett
track that
was
got
going
purchased by the
backwards.
IHRA, right?
12 laps in, and we had our first caution.
Because I
when
thought,
Bill
oh man,
Dillon
is this track
spun
going to get
right in
resurrected?
front of last
And I
year's
was like,
Memphis winner, Kevin
too good to
Grubb,
be true.
And they both wrecked in turn 4. Both drivers had minimal damage and would keep going. A handful of drivers went to pit under yellow, including Jarrett, Hosley, Quappel, Kimmel, and Sadler. Sauter continued to lead after the restart and
Will we be
dominated
seeing
with
Dale
Mike
on
Dillon
part-time in
second.
2003 and beyond?
Meanwhile, Jason
I
Jarrett
think I did
was
mention
way
that
in the
2002 was the end of his
back. The group of
full-time
drivers that pit
career.
under the caution
So-
would end up being in front after green flag stops.
I think I
But
did
with
mention
pit
that Dale
under
will
30 to
do
go.
some part-time stuff
By 24
afterwards.
to go, Kirk Shelmerdine led the way, but Johnny Sauter was right behind him. With 19 to go, Frank Kimmel ran into the back of Angie Wilson going into turn 3, sending them both into the wall to bring out a late caution.
Excuse me.
Then, right after the restart, Johnny Sauter easily worked his way past Shelmerdine for the
Memphis
lead.
was supposed to run an
He would go on to
AHRA
collect
late model
his
race in the
4th
fall,
win of the season,
where they
and what
openly
an
said they
impressive
didn't need
rookie
safer
season by
barriers.
Johnny
Oh,
Sauter.
that's right.
But that wasn't
Which
the
I'm
only
like,
story here.
what?
While Mike Dillon finished 9th. Jason Jarrett's car
Buddy, you
came
need
to
those.
life when it needed to. In the last 12 laps, Jarrett went from
Is the NASCAR
26
Cafe
to
a thing in the
11
SNL
to
universe?
save his championship hopes.
Yeah, I'd say
And
so.
thanks to that run by Jarrett, he did
I'd say
lose
so.
the points lead, but now
I mean,
he's only
as I
3
said
points
before,
behind Mike
NASCAR is
Dillon,
just kind of
heading
bigger
into
than
the
what it
final
was
race
in
of
real
the
life
season.
at this point in
Not
Sunday
getting
Night
any
Lights.
closer
So
than this. Before we determine the champion, we have to decide the 8 drivers who will join the top 18 in standings, as David Rudiman scored the pole, and he put that 88 in cruise control all race long, as he would go on to win the B main. Mario Goslin was 2nd, Andy Houston was 3rd, Frank Kimmel was 4th, Martin Truex Jr. was 5th, Amber Cope was 6th, Curtis Markham 7th, and last of the top 8 to advance was Bill Bigley. After winning the B main, David Rudiman looked to cap off 2002 with another win, as he scored the pole with Mike Dillon next to him. Billy Venturini would start 4th, and Jason Jarrett would start 6th.
let's see here.
However, just 3 laps in, Andy Houston got into his teammate Robert Huffman to bring out the caution. Then on lap 9,
Okay.
Angie Wilson turned her.
But yeah,
Saturday
somebody
to
asked it.
bring out
Yeah,
another
so
caution.
Dale Earnhardt will
After a
continue to
while,
run
Billy
on a part-time
Venturini
basis
chased down
in
David
2003
Rudiman,
and beyond.
He would
So
eventually take the lead.
you will still see him
Venturini
race.
is not out of this title fight just yet, but Jarrett and Dillon would need to lose some spots in order to help him. The last third of the race was when the action began to heat up between 3rd and 6th place, as Jason Jarrett was passed by Jason Rudd for 5th, but would get that position back not too long after. Jarrett was given it all.
NASCAR Cafe will probably have more locations than I didn't realize. Yeah, it's possible. Kind of like
Then
NASCAR
Mike
Speed
Dillon
Park.
went 3 wide on Rich Bickle, and the lap car Mario.
Yeah, honestly, the
Gosselin.
way Rudiman's going,
Dillon
if
would
he
get past
continues
him,
this
but
kind
on
of
the very
success,
next lap,
he might be in
Jason
Cup a lot
Jarrett
sooner
went
than
3
where he
wide on
was in real
Dillon and
life.
Bickle.
We'll see.
Jarrett didn't make it work, but he was not backing down. With under 20 to go, Dillon was 4th and Jarrett was 5th. It wasn't easy for Jarrett, as he was pressured by Jason Rudd after going too hard into turn 1. Rudd tried to clear him, but Jarrett fought back. Dillon, meanwhile, got past Rich Bickle for 3rd. Then Jason Jarrett worked his way past Bickle and immediately went for Dillon. The two were side by side with 15 laps to go. As
Yeah,
Jarrett
this was
went for
honestly a
3rd,
fun
and
fight
Rich
here
Bickle
between
got around Mike Dillon.
Bickle,
This put
Dillon,
Jason
Jarrett,
in the
and
driver's
those
seat
guys.
for the title, but it wasn't over. Bickle tried to get back around Jarrett coming in 10 to go, but had no luck, especially with Mario Goslin still ahead of all of them. Coming to 6 to go, Bickle got around Jarrett, then Jason Rudd got to him, but Jarrett held off Rudd. Then Jason Jarrett dive-bombed Rich Bickle and took 3rd back, coming to 4 to go. Coming to the white flag and into turn 1, Jarrett ran high again, allowing Bickle to get to his inside. They ran neck and neck all the way to the checkers, and while Billy Venturini would take home the win, Jason Jarrett barely beat Bickle at the line for 3rd in a photo finish, and it further helped secure him the NASCAR DuPont Super Sportsman Series Championship for 2002. Jason Jarrett, Dale Jarrett's son, gets it done for Dodge and Jarrett Favre. Both of them
this was cool.
are
I
now
mean,
able to celebrate their
Dale
first
Jarrett winning a
NASCAR
championship as a car owner.
together.
Brett Favre
Definitely
winning a
huge
championship as an
moment,
owner.
especially for NFL quarterback Brett Favre.
Jason Jarrett getting the title. Dodge's first title since coming back.
From the 2002 NASCAR DuPont Super Sportsman Series season. Definitely a lot to talk about from this season, and definitely a lot of memories were made. Johnny Sauter, while the standings result doesn't show it for him, the fact that he picked up 4 wins is very impressive, and I'm sure he's going to be a threat for the title next year. And Jason Jarrett definitely had
AK Racing is going to be interesting,
perhaps
especially that
could send him to the next
they
level.
Alan Kowicki's definitely got some prospects that have been coming into their own.
Next up is the 2002 NASCAR Craftsman Super Truck Series season, where we saw Stacey Compton take
It's
home the
truck time,
championship
baby.
in dramatic fashion at Las Vegas back in 2001. Tim Richmond has lost out on the title for 2 years straight. Can 2002 be the year for Tim? The 2002 Super Truck season will be 25
Just remember, guys, Tim is him.
2 new events. Homestead Miami.
Nathan Hosley might be the real life Lightning McQueen.
which we'll touch more on later. The other new venue to the series is a new entry to our trio of dirt races. Following the conclusion of the Dirt Race Series at Bristol, the Truck Series will be heading to Volusia Speedway Park in eastern Florida. This race will be part of the July Daytona Road Course weekend, just a half hour from the World Center of Racing. This will also be NASCAR's return to the track for the first time since the 1992 Busch Series, before the bullring was turned into a dirt track in 1997. The most notable story of Truck Series silly season was brought on by Hendrick Motorsports. As Hendrick continues their rough patch in the Winston Cup, Hendrick closes down their Super Trucks operation. Hendrick will continue to work with his former driver, Tim Richmond, driving for himself at Hollywood Motorsports, as well as young Kyle Busch in their part-time truck. Scott Lagasse retires from full-time racing.
And I did leave that
while Jack
historical
Floyd finds
note, I
himself
think,
in
in
a
the
new
description. I
opportunity,
think it was.
taking over the number 29 Dodge Ram team. He brings Net Zero along as a primary sponsor. The 29's
Who is the best driver
Kurt
without a
Busch,
title in
will be
Sunday
moving
Night
up to the
Lights?
Busch Series this season. Another driver making the move.
I
up
would
is
say
Greg Biffle, leaving an opening in Roush's
Richmond's a
number
good
50
one.
truck.
Moroso,
They take a chance on a young driver who's
Alan
had mixed
Kowicki.
results with small
He hasn't
teams
won a
the
title
past
here,
two
but
seasons,
he's
but
done
shows
just about
potential.
everything else.
Jamie
You
McMurray.
can argue
This
Patty
truck also
Moise
gets new
is another one.
sponsorship with the US
Um,
Navy. As for his teammate Tony Rover,
If Marlboro kept their
picks
mouth
up new
shut, we could have had
sponsorship this
Zillage and
season
Cup
with
full
the
time in
Outdoor
2025.
Channel, still piloting
Maybe.
the number 99 truck. Another notable story is that of Jeff Bodine. At 53 years old, the inaugural series champion decides to take a step back into a part-time schedule after regressing the past
I think Dale's
2
retirement is
seasons.
going to kick off
The
a series of
number 70 truck
retirements
will
by
run
all the
full
top drivers of
schedule
his
with
generation,
Bodine
similar to
racing
Jeff
his
Gordon in real life.
majority,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
splitting the truck with him is a young
You're probably gonna
Midwestern
see that,
dirt
yeah.
racer, Carl Edwards. The 22-year-old Missouri native has something to prove this year. Other full-time moves include Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Excuse me.
joining his father's team, replacing Mark Gibson in the
fun
number
fact
4.
about adding Volusia to the
Gibson
truck
moves to
schedule,
replace McMurray in the
we had to use a more
$1
recent
million
Volusia than the actual
Carlos
2000s one because
Contreras
the older
moves to
track had a
Racing
glitch
Enterprises.
that disqualified
Mike
the
Bliss
front
moves
row
to
every
Traxel
race.
Racing's number
Yeah.
93. Lastly,
So,
Express Motorsports
it's one of those
racers
things where,
start
you know,
full-time once again, with David
it is
Starr
what it is,
piloting
right?
the number 61. As for part-time trucks, Bill Davis's number 1 truck returns. Ryan Newman will run additional races over last season, and also splitting the truck with him is young Angela Cope, who moves from the Super Sportsman Series to the Super Truck Series. Rusty Wallace Incorporated's number 6 truck has an expanded schedule. Rusty himself will once again enter the season opener at Daytona, plus his home track at Gateway. But he brings in another veteran to run a few races. Out of retirement, Darrell Waltrip will run 4 truck races in the number 6, running the 3 dirt races as well as the Memphis race in the fall. Lastly, Reagan Smith will share the part-time MB Motorsports truck with Frog Hall, and the new FDNY racing team
Get ready for more
opens,
backflips in the
split
truck
between
series.
Conrad
Call
Burke,
Edwards the substitute
Ortega,
t-shirt.
and Emerson Newton-John, the nephew of Olivia Newton-John. Tony Roper and defending champion Stacy Compton
All right, let's go
led the
trucking.
field to the green flag to open up the 2002 season. Coming back to lap 2, Roper, Waltrip, and Jack Sprague about went 3 wide for the lead as Roper grabbed the first set of bonus points to the season, hoping to begin his quest towards a second championship. This race featured one of the most exciting truck races at Daytona to ever take place.
Yeah, Conrad
Featuring
Burr
36
was
lead
there for a
changes
little
among
bit. He just
19 different
happened to drive that
drivers.
truck in real life.
There were also no
But-
cautions with a round of green flag pit stops. Coming to 2 to go.
That's right. I think I said Steve Portenga drove the 28 when I had to point out that I was wrong about that. Joe Ruttman did. Portenga was driving his own truck.
Scott Bloomquist went 3 wide for second. Could the dirt legend become a winner at the World Center of Racing? Then going into turn 3, Bloomquist zooms past Ribs for the lead with a pull.
Excuse me.
And Stacy Compton. On the
Something
final
tells you that
lap,
Morgan
Compton
Shepherd
and
is going to
Ribs
do
tuned
something
up
this
going
season.
into
Just a
turn
hunch.
1, and Scott Bloomquist was doing
I think
all
it's
he
possible.
could to hold on to the lead. But Stacy Compton made the same exact move that Bloomquist made the lap prior and takes the lead. Coming off turn 4, Willie T. Ribs dives to the inside.
Yeah, I just
and
realized-
it was a drag race to the finish line.
This
but it
finish
was
foreshadowed
defending
Michigan.
champion Stacy Compton winning at Daytona by just 5 1/1000ths of a second over Willie T. Ribs. What an insane finish to start off the 2002 Super Truck Series season. We head out west for the second
Yeah, I
race
can't
of the
believe that
season,
that
as we
finish
move in the
actually
desert.
foreshadowed
Jack
with the
Sprague was
21
on the
there
pole,
what was
Tony
going to
Roper in
happen.
second, as Roper would grab an early lead with Tim
Phoenix.
Richmond jumping up to second. Tony Roper had the truck to beat, leading all throughout the first half of the race, and then he went to pit coming to lap 44. But right as he finished his stop and drove off, Derek Cope ran into the 63 of Ted Musgrave, sending them both into the wall in turn 3.
Ouch.
Roper remained a leader.
Unc
at the
always still
restart
got
with
it.
Scott Bloomquist second and Stacy Compton in third. Right after that restart, things got chaotic when the leaders went 4 wide as Kyle Busch was sandwiched between Waltrip and Richmond, who was running in fourth and ended up wrecking, leading to a multi-car pileup on the backstretch involving Richmond, Waltrip, Barry Bodine, Brendan Gong.
The
and
OH
Wilkie
just slid
Ribs,
into the DMs
who
like,
ran
"Ew."
into the side of Scott
I don't know what I'm
Bloomquist,
doing.
causing the 94 to flip over once. And then Bobby Dotter crashed into Ribs as well.
Jay,
Roper
you gotta
continued to
move.
lead after the cleanup, but was under pressure from a red-hot Stacy Compton. Compton once peeked into the inside, but wasn't able to get a run. With 17 to go, it was a 3-truck battle between Tony Roper, Stacy Compton, and Michael Waltrip. But in turns 3 and 4, Waltrip drove way
Yeah,
too
Dale
deep
Jarrett
on the
was
back
weird.
of
He
the
just
Daytona
never
winner,
really got up
causing
off the
Compton
ground as a
to go
driver.
for a slide
And then
coming
he
off
just
turn 4
DNQ'd a bunch
into
of
the
races,
wall
which was
and
just
right
bizarre.
into fourth place Jack Sprague. Sprague had heavy damage and his day was done. Oddly enough for Compton, he would go on to finish 8th in this race, despite what had just happened. In the closing laps, Waltrip tried to chase down the 1999 champion, but came up short as Tony Roper picks up a big early win at Phoenix. We head out to wine country where Sears Point now has a new name, Infineon Raceway.
Good old
This race
Infineon.
saw a pretty chaotic start, with Barry Bodine on the pole, battling Daytona winner Stacy Compton and the veteran Tim Richmond, with Richmond ultimately pulling away in the short chute thanks to a superior line. Richmond would pull away, but lose much of his lead after taking a long pit strategy, allowing Cindy Peterson and Michael Waltrip to pull into a better position. Either one of them could have caught Richmond in the right circumstance, but because they battled each other so much, neither had a chance to get to the 46's bumper. And with that, Tim Richmond goes on to win.
What were some funny
at
stories about the
Infineon.
productions of SNL besides 2002?
Atlanta is always a thriller. This
I just
one
remember
gave
being
early
jaw-dropped
championship
when I did the
implications.
84
Michael
500,
Waltrip started on
and I was
pole,
like,
but surrendered
that was the
early
first taste of
to
like,
Ronnie Hornaday.
oh, things are really playing
But on
out
lap
differently
15,
because
we had trouble up front.
Dale
as
Earnhardt
Stacey
wins the
Compton got
Daytona
spun off
500
the bumper of Ryan Newman,
14
hitting the
years
wall
sooner than he
head-on,
did in
collecting
real life.
Scott Riggs, and then a few others in the back like Carlos
So,
Contreras and
it's just
Tim
kind of
Woods.
funny looking at that, and
The
then
rest of the race ran
him winning
free
it
with a
again
loud
in
assortment of leaders,
88
including
and
Hornaday,
95,
Irvin,
and
Musgrave,
now he's a 3-time
Conwood,
winner of the
and
race.
Jamie McMurray. In the longer term, though,
Of course, the 94 500, I was like,
two best trucks.
oh, Shauna Robinson just won this. Well, this is interesting.
That those three would battle for the win. The truck whacker Ernie Irvan jumped ahead of all of them on pit road with a splash and go. But he wasn't the one.
Trying to think what else there is.
One driver stood alone as the only driver to not.
I have an arc for SNL in the future for the Ross Kenseth arc.
Fumes, that being Dennis Setzer in the Petty 43. Setzer gets his second career win. Just as at Talladega last year.
It's been nice seeing Dennis Setzer pick up a couple of wins then and there.
Could he keep the momentum going and surprise this season? A couple of races later, we followed.
Of course, the new look Texas World.
Fantastic race in College Station, Texas. As Ernie Irvan started on the pole, he looked like he was going to be.
Yeah, I used the default California grandstands for that.
Irvan took the lead.
I felt like it was at a point where, you know, Texas World needed a visual overhaul.
It was 3 wide.
I think it turned out pretty good.
Irvan, Ronnie Hornaday, and Waltrip. But even then, Irvan continued to hang on.
And DW won it 3 years early.
Like pit stops began. After everything cycled
I think
through,
4 because he won it in '85.
Peterson
but yeah,
ended up in front of Irvan. Peterson then took the lead from Sprague.
Bill Elliott won the title in '85, which he was going to in '83, and then he blew an engine at Riverside.
As Sprague took second for a moment. Then back came Irvan. Sprague kept battling.
Should we be worried about bushwhackers and SNL? Which only would I mean, Peterson. With 13 to go, I'm not worried too much about it right now.
Between Irvan, Sprague, and Peterson.
If it gets a little out of hand, then obviously we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
tough to beat him. But with 6 to go,
I wouldn't be too worried right now.
Took the lead from Irvan,
I mean, you know,
but then another concern
we're just getting into the 2000s, right?
Fuel. With 5 to go, Ernie Irvan went to pit. Waltrip and a few others pit with 4 to go. Then Peterson had to pit with 3 to go.
Jeez, I keep yawning. Sorry.
Taking the lead was the 63 of Ted Musgrave for Rusty Wallace Incorporated. And Musgrave had just enough to hang on, and it was a long time coming.
Yeah, this was cool to see
wins at Texas
Musgrave
World,
finally pick
Tim
up a win
Richmond,
here.
Coy Gibbs and Terry Cook all staying out. What a race and what a moment for Ted Musgrave. After 7 races, Tim Richmond also took the points.
Remember that I called the Texas World updates.
Jack Sprague in his new ride was looking to get hot, and he did so out in the Midwest. Winning on the dirt at Knoxville, and then on the winding roads of Topeka at Heartland Park. These 2 wins.
Don't worry, Jimmy Johnson's only going to win the 2006 title by 700
Then had an exciting one out in the Rockies at Pikes Peak.
Oh gosh.
Stacey Compton won the pole, but Jack
Clinched the title like 4 races in advance, like Rusty Wallace '97.
Off of the last pit stops. That said, we had a finish as the top 5 bunched up with Waltrip and Bloomquist.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to go all the way to the
Waltrip making a pass, and after running multiple laps besides Barry Bodine, followed by Compton and Bodine getting stuck side by side and letting him get away. Michael Waltrip wins at Pikes Peak after only leading the last few laps. But sometimes, that's all you need. 12 races in, and Tim Richmond holds a 39-point lead over Cindy Peterson.
I forgot to put the minus in front of the 39 there. Whoops.
Jack Sprague is back by 45 points. Michael Waltrip.
You all couldn't behave, so we're making all 40 Cup drivers bushwhack at the same time.
He returned to National Super Speedway for the second time.
Because you all can't behave.
As Ronnie Hornaday scored the pole, as he and Stacey Compton led the field to the green flag. Hornaday tried to get an early lead, but just 3 laps in, Ernie Irvan took control of the lead. Early on in the race, it was a battle amongst Irvan SEMO teammates, Ernie Irvan and Stacey Compton. After the first round of pit stops around lap 37, Stacey Compton had a decent lead on Ernie Irvan. But that lead would disappear over the next 10 laps as Ernie Irvan chased him down and took back the lead. The final round of green flag pit stops took place around lap 68, and afterwards it was Tony Roper out in front.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to
1999 champion,
make an expanded version of National Super Speedway with the seating.
1999 Cup champion all over him until the end.
What was Rusty's average finish in 1997? I can pull that up. Hold on.
but Roper did a fantastic job holding his line on the outside, and the 99
And
truck
again,
hangs on.
I may have been
With
wrong,
that,
but I mean,
Tony
at that
Roper
point,
wins himself a guitar
you know,
in the Music
it
City.
was going to be very difficult for
We
him
head
to,
next to the new dirt venue on the Super Truck schedule,
for anybody
as
to
Scott
catch him.
Bloomquist was on pole. We had an
Standings.
extremely competitive race with lots of passing up front, including leaders like Bloomquist,
Let's see.
Peterson, Barry Bodine, and nearly Dennis Setzer having a great
So,
run. With that said, we had a caution in the
Rusty
late
Wallace
stages
won
on
the
pit stop
championship
that changed the
by
order a bit,
this is
setting up a battle between Ted
the final
Musgrave,
standings.
Barry
So
Bodine,
after race
and Tony
34,
Roper, with
Rusty Wallace won the title
pulling ahead.
by
Barry
586
Bodine
points
wins on the
over
dirt,
Jeff Gordon.
gets his first win of the
Rusty
year
Wallace had an
after being
average finishing
winless
position
in
of
2001.
7.53.
At SoCal,
Jeff
Ted
Gordon had an
Musgrave
average
was on
finishing
pole,
position
defending the lead
of
first with
12.71
the two younger drivers were quick risers to the field.
by 5
Tony
positions.
Burton and Ryan Newman, both climbing into the top 3, riding the high line.
And after
McMurray
race
and
32,
Musgrave came down pit road together, with McMurray getting
actually,
a slight jump,
after race
making the
31,
pass.
Rusty Wallace had a
As
639 point lead
Waltrip and Peterson
with
joined
a
the party,
average finishing
followed by
position
a
of
caution before final pit
7.29.
stops. After
So
everyone came off
that's
together,
just how insane that
McMurray
season
held the
was.
lead, but Peterson had taken second. In the final run to the finish, we had a
Yeah, I mean,
moment
it was
as
just like,
Peterson looked for the
midway
inside,
through, I was like,
but
there's no
Musgrave
stopping
tried
Rusty.
to bug track
There's no
McMurray
stopping him.
ahead to make it a battle
2026
between
Justin
the two.
Allgaier off season.
In the closing laps,
I mean,
Musgrave
pretty much.
tried to make a move on the inside, but never
I almost
got
want
enough
to see
of a run.
2025 Corey
He was there
Haim off
side
season
by
2.
side at the white. He could not finish the move, and the 50 pulls away. We have a first career win alert as young Jamie McMurray
And to
scores
think-
his first victory in San Diego, and he had to hold out
I
many
ran,
of
by the way,
series veterans.
it was kind of cool to run this race at night.
Are you ready for
It went
one of
hard,
those classic
but
Michigan finishes? Well, you're about
this-
to get one.
That
This
truck
race
race
in
at San
Michigan was
Diego,
packed with plenty of action.
I didn't realize when I ran that foreshadowed McMurray running the truck race at the Naval Base in real life. I was like, wait a minute.
This sets us up with
1996 Terry Labonte off season.
duking it out for the lead. Coy Gibbs attempted to join the front pack as he
all-time wins chart. Yeah, we'll discuss that as a group. It would be cool to have at some point, but we just haven't gotten around to it. But it's something we'd like to get around to.
For the lead with help from Derek Cope. Then with 5 to go, Derek Cope led with John Wood and Bobby Daughter right behind
Terry
him.
Labonte won one
John
race in
Wood would
'96.
then
I
take
think
the
you're right
lead,
on that.
Looking for a much-needed win, but then Cope battled back on the inside and took the lead back. With 3 to go, Cope was hanging on, but then Bobby Daughter worked his way back.
God, I remember running this race and I was just like, no freaking way, man.
But coming to 2 to go, Ronnie Horton
Cinema.
had the chance and took it, gunning for his first career win, and he takes the lead. But here came Willie T. Ribbs trying to
God,
make
poor
up
Willie
the
T. Ribbs.
heartbreaking defeat at
He was
Daytona,
involved in both photo
and then
finishes
on
and he
the
lost
final
both of
lap,
them.
Here comes Morgan Shepherd, the 1990 Daytona 500 champion. Ribbs was on the outside, Shepherd was on the inside. They didn't give a single inch. Ribbs did everything he could. Shepherd trying to prove he still has it. Side by side to the line. 60-year-old Morgan Shepherd wins at Michigan. A massive upset. Morgan Shepherd driving for his own team with a small budget. And not only that, this officially marked the closest finish in NASCAR history as Morgan Shepherd beat Willie T. Ribbs by just 1/1000th
Yep,
of a second.
that is the closest
He
finish
truly
we've had so
indeed
far.
Got one of those classic Michigan finishes.
God, insane,
A
man.
couple of races later at Talladega, Coy Gibbs scored the pole and pulled ahead early until pit
Terry
stop
won
set
twice in
up a unique
96?
scene for this one.
Ew!
Battle
I'll have to look
of
that
some
up.
of the best drivers without a win this
Morgan
season.
Shepherd won a race at
Coy Gibbs
Richmond in
and
the
Garrett
05
Norris up
99
front
in my cup
after the
timeline
first
after
pit
this
stops.
video aired.
While these
Hey, it
leaders
foreshadowed
managed
it, right?
traffic, everything changed on pit road during second pit stops. Norris and Ribbs stayed out as Gibbs led the way, but had a longer stop
Oh,
leading
man.
to McMurray and Barry Bodine catching him, and going 3 wide on the apron, with another 2 in Hornaday and Bloomquist behind. But as they came off, Hornaday gets spun by Bloomquist up the track and he gets slammed by Terry Cook,
Ow.
taking both out of the race and bringing out the caution. Norris, Ribbs, and Compton were the ones to benefit from the change in the order, and Eric Norris pulled away from the restart onward to get his third career win and his first of the 2002 season.
Yeah, it was kind of
One
cool to
where
have.
He got to win in front of his father, Chuck Norris.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to have Eric
Charlotte
Norris
sometimes
win
loves
that
to be
race,
chaotic in the
considering
Truck
that, of
Series,
course,
and
Chuck
this one
Norris
had
had
its
passed,
start from
I think,
qualifying
after
with a big
or
upset
before I
pole
ran that race, I
Bobby
think.
Hamilton Jr., though
So,
he didn't do much besides
that was
lead
pretty
the
cool.
first two laps. From there, it was a heavyweight battle with Ernie
Is
Irvin
Morgan
leading
Shepherd the
for a
oldest
bit,
winner in Truck Series
followed by
history?
two truck breakaways
Yeah, I'm pretty
Roper
sure he
and
is.
Richmond.
60 years old.
Two yellow trucks
Has to
exchanging
be.
the lead back and forth while needing to conserve fuel to reach the finish. This led to a wild final run as the rest of
The son of the
leaders
guy
got
from
those two in the
Dodgeball.
final laps.
Yes.
Compton, Hornaday, Peterson, and Irvin all created a pack that
See,
pushed
NASCAR
each
can
other
bring that
around,
Hollywood
with
flair, right?
Richmond getting pushed up the track a bit, and Ernie Irvin taking second. At the white flag, Ernie Irvin was being pushed a bit by Ernie Irvin, and coming back around, he got to the inside of Roper, but just didn't have the momentum to beat him to the line as Tony Roper gets his fourth win of the season in a thriller. Roper holds a 97-point lead over Michael Waltrip after this race. 3 races to go.
It was
in the
kind of cool to
season.
see
Waltrip
Tony
had a great
Roper
opportunity to make up ground.
come into his
Starting
own
on
here
pole,
and
while
have
Tony
a
Roper qualified all the way
have a
back to the
truck,
20s.
really good truck career here
While
in
Waltrip
Sunday Night
led
Lights.
Early, he had to fight Scott Bloomquist and the part-timer Ryan Newman, whom he held off, while the Cup star Rusty Wallace battled in the top 10 in his own truck, but he didn't quite have the pace of last year. We had a caution for Coy Gibbs that caused stops to come under yellow. We had a rare split strategy, with Jack Sprague, Willie T. Ribbs,
Are you
and
afraid of the
Scott
90s?
Riggs gambling on no tires, relegating Waltrip and Newman to 4th and 5th. That strategy was a disaster.
Yeah, I think the oldest winner
as
previously
Waltrip
might have been
pulled
Richard
ahead,
Petty when he won that
took the lead
Super
a lap
Sportsman
after
race
restart with
in
Ryan Newman
'97.
behind,
But
leading
now I
to
think
all
Morgan
3
Shepherd
who
might
stayed
have
out,
might have
making
topped
an
that.
extra stop. This likely ends the outside chance Jack Sprague had at the title. The 3 best trucks all day would pull away, but Bloomquist had the fastest truck on the long run, finally getting the Waltrips inside with 7 to go and making the pass. The former dirt ace turned solid truck driver gets his second career win at Gateway. As for the title fight, Tony Roper slowly climbed to 13th to salvage some valuable points. Waltrip's second
Did you
place
see
with
Harold
most
Klott
laps
finally
left
won in tow
put
car?
him right back
Oh, did he?
in the mix.
Oh, I need to catch up with tow car. I gotta see what's going on there.
He battled Jack Sprague
That's
early,
good to see, though.
but the real story lies in Cindy Peterson, who had an absolute rocket, starting in the teens, but made it to the lead and
Thoughts
ran
on Angry
away
Birds?
with it. Where things really got interesting.
I have not
though,
seen
was
any of the
top
movies in
two
full,
points.
but I've seen a
Walter
lot of
and
those
Roper
memes
both
where
worked their way into
people
the
like
top
leave
5,
comments
while
on certain
Walter
scenes
finished a touch
of the
late
Angry
to
Birds
lead a
movie, and
lap.
I've just seen
Big points
compilations
that
of
could matter
that.
in the end. And with 2 laps to go, Waltrip looking for
Hey,
a
all,
good
Scott
battle,
here.
charged up to
Yes.
second and took it from Sprague. Ahead of him by multiple seconds, though, it's Memphis redemption for Cindy Peterson, finally earning her first win of the year. But is it too late for the title? Going into Las Vegas, Tony Roper holds a 21.
What was the decision that made y'all have Richard race in the 1997 part-time instead of retiring completely?
Cindy Peterson.
It was just
It
something
is
fun to
time
explore.
crown a champion
What if
in
Richard
Sin
Petty
City once
decided to
again,
race
as
a little
Tony
bit
Roper
longer,
scored the
you know,
pole
even after
with
retiring from
Dennis
full-time
Setzer in second.
competition?
Peterson
So
qualified third,
it was
while
fun
Michael
to
Waltrip
invest into,
qualified 13th.
and you know, especially
Roper
the
led the way
the
early
Super
on,
Sportsman
but
stuff
on
he
lap
did
5,
too.
Cindy Peterson took the lead.
Sonic Jam, am I
Leaders
right?
went to pit on lap 26.
Come on and
Peterson
slam.
held a comfortable lead
Just
with
like
about
Bubba Wallace
30
said.
laps to go.
Come on and slam! Welcome to the.
But as the laps ticked
I
away,
bursted out in laughter when
Tony
Bubba
Roper
did
would
that
eventually chase
because he made the
down
move on
Peterson,
Blaney, and I was
and
just
he would
like,
take the lead from her with under 20 laps
God,
to go.
that's funny.
On lap 54,
Speaking of
Peters
Blaney, I
came
still
down
laugh.
one
I think
more time
was
for
it
pit
at
stops,
Nashville?
while Peterson did also
No, it was
play.
Atlanta. It was
Roper
Atlanta
just
when
had the better
you're like,
truck.
are we on live TV right now?
With 8
Yep,
laps
we're live
left,
right now. He
Peterson
just looks at the
out
camera and
there,
walks
Jeffrey
away.
ran into Angela Cope,
Like, what are you doing, Blaney?
going into turn 3. We would restart with 4
what a
laps
guy.
to go, and Tony Roper would drive away for his 5th win of the season, and that would lock up his 2nd NASCAR Craftsman Super Truck Series championship. Tony Roper is the champion for 2002. Tony Roper has made quite the career for himself for Jack Roush down in the Super Truck Series, scoring his first title in 1999, and just a handful of years later.
I'm curious to
already
see if Tony
scored
Roper
a second
wins.
title. Maybe perhaps Roper has
If Tony
more
Roper
in him
wins
to
another
win potentially a
championship or
third
two
next season.
in the Truck Series, I think he
And
could.
with that, here are all the winners and the final standings from the 2002 NASCAR Craftsman Super Truck Series season. We've seen quite a handful of winners this season, especially that.
I love
upset
doing
win
those
at
burnout
Michigan
scenes too.
by Morgan
I just
Shepherd,
get into
where
a
we got the
test
closest
session and do it,
finish
so I
in
don't have
NASCAR
to
history. We
try
also
and do
have
it
notable
with.
winners such as
Even though
Eric
the track
Lewis,
shows it's empty,
Jamie
but
McMurray.
you know.
Perhaps McMurray will climb his way through the ranks next season and improve on this season. Tim Richmond finishes 5th in the points.
Tim
Still
just can't
solid
catch a
season
break.
despite the
Yeah,
fact that he
unfortunately.
was not near championship form like he was the past couple of seasons. Scott Bloomquist looking solid, finishing 11th in points. And of course, Dennis Setzer picking up another win as well early in the season. We'll take a look at the rest of our standings.
Okay.
Of course, Jeff Bodine
I'm going to let this
running
play.
on a part-time
but
basis, and Carl Edwards looks
Speaking
pretty
of breaks,
solid in
I'm
his
going
truck
to use
starts.
the restroom
I'm
really
sure
quick,
we'll hear more of
grab
him
something to
in
drink.
the future.
But I'm going to continue to let this run. So
Next up is our annual
enjoy the
running of
IROC
the
part, and I'll be
International Race
right
of
back.
Champions, as we witness championship in 6 years in 2001. For 2002, the IROC schedule is getting a refresh with 2 new dates. The series remains truly international with another racetrack across the Pacific, but replacing Calder Park in Australia is Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. We'll touch more on this shortly, but the 2 tracks will be swapping their marquee events after a few successful years. Motegi will be hosting IROC, while Calder Park will be hosting the NASCAR Busch Series. The other change comes in IROC's 3rd race, with Michigan being swapped out for one of the country's newest venues, Chicago Motor Speedway, another track that NASCAR and open-wheelers alike have experience at. Daytona will remain the championship's opener, with Indianapolis as the finale. Here's a look at our lineup for the 2002 IROC season, as we did have a change-up in the lineup. The field expands from 12 to 14 drivers, giving a spot to the defending IROC champion, which in this case was Rusty Wallace. 2 other notable drivers in the field come from Japan, as the 2001 AJTCC co-champions Yuji Tachikawa and Hironori Takeuchi will both give IROC a shot. It was your typical IROC race at Daytona, with all 14 drivers in a pack contending for the win, not knowing who's going to win until the final lap. Sam Hornish Jr. was leading the way with 6 laps to go, but then fellow open-wheeler Elio Castroneves went to the inside in turn 3 and took the lead with Jimmy Johnson right behind him. Then coming to 5 to go, here came the Busch champion Jimmy Johnson.
all right,
Johnson takes the lead.
I'm back.
Neves
Hopefully y'all behaved.
kept holding on while Jeff Green and Takeuchi
Oh, jeez.
battled for second with 4
I
to
think
go.
the sound went
Then
out.
with
Sorry about
3 to
that.
go, Dale Earnhardt was looking for.
I've
a
had
way
the
around
issue of
Johnson,
the.
but was then under fire from Kyle Petty.
I've had
Jimmy
the issue
Johnson
of
continued to hang on, and on the final lap,
the headphones
Gil DeFerris
easily
was looking
becoming
for
unplugged.
second, looking for any kind of way around Johnson, but then got passed by ARCA champion Frank Kimmel, giving way for the rising phenom, as round 1 of IROC 2002 went to Jimmy Johnson. The Busch Series
Jimmy!
champ has just won a race featuring so many heavy hitters.
And I think I've said this
He is
before, but yes,
definitely
it was
proving
intentional
himself
putting Johnson
already.
in the blue number 3 car.
Japan awaits, as IROC arrived in Japan for the first time ever.
The game
at
Kyle
Twin
is
Ring
famous?
Motegi, as Jeff
I don't think
Green
I've heard
and
of
Kyle
that.
Petty led the field to the green flag in front of an excited crowd. 4 laps in,
Oh, man.
Jimmy Johnson picked up where he left off at Daytona, as he took the lead from Jeff Green.
Excuse me.
Right after that, Rob Moroso then took the lead from Johnson. As I'm sure
Doing a lot
Richard
of talking.
Childress has to be feeling good about this moment here. By lap 11, Moroso continued to lead, but Frank Kimmel was up to second, looking impressive. Then on lap 23, Kyle Petty would take the lead from Moroso. Then 5 laps later,
Just making sure. Can you
Moroso
guys hear
took
me?
the lead right back.
Because sometimes I know OBS
It
just
became
likes
a
to
three-car showdown between Moroso, Petty,
mute me
and
for...
Kimmel. Then green flag pit
Okay,
stops
somebody
took
said... Okay,
place
I was going to do
just
Jimmy,
a
but you
couple
did it for
laps
me.
later.
Okay, that means y'all can't hear me.
During those
Good.
pit stops,
Okay.
Jimmy Johnson was hit
Again,
with a
sometimes
speeding penalty
OBS just
and had
likes to
make
mute
another
me
trip down
randomly
pit
for some
road.
reason, but...
Afterwards, Kyle Petty went on a tear.
Gray still
dominating the
plays.
race,
Oh, man, I
even
haven't heard that
putting
name in a
other
while.
competitors a lap
I've watched
down.
his videos in the past.
There was no stopping him either, as Kyle Petty went on to win at Motegi with Jeff Green second and Hironobu Takeuchi in third. A great run for the Japanese driver. For the first time ever, IROC arrives to the Windy City as a pair of champions, Jimmy Johnson and
Chicago.
Jeff Green, led the field to the green flag. Despite Johnson winning the pole, Jeff Green got out to an early lead, while Johnson and Danny Lazowski fought for second, with Dale Earnhardt behind them. Lazowski hung in tough, as he and Johnson were side by side for multiple
still does
laps
videos?
at the start, while
Yeah.
Jeff Green simply drove
I think
away.
I've seen that, yeah.
Lazowski would eventually clear for second place. Nearing the halfway point, after battling back and forth, Johnson would take second from Lazowski, while Jeff Green was a straightaway ahead. Jeff Green went to pit for green flag pit stops with 33 to go, as Johnson momentarily took the lead. With 20 to go, Jeff Green had a 12-second lead over Rob Moroso, Jimmy Johnson, and Elio Castroneves, and it pretty much stayed that way. Jeff Green.
You guys
goes
got
on
anything
to
planned
win
for your
Chicago,
weekend while NASCAR's
put him
off?
at the top of the IROC standings, heading into the final race at Indianapolis. It's time to decide a
Hey, I was
champion
just
for
there.
IROC 2002, as Jeff Green and Sam Hornish Jr. led the field to the green flag at the Brickyard. Jeff Green, a former Brickyard 400 winner, was looking to pick up where he left
And they're
off
still
at
funny?
Chicago.
Oh, I'm sure.
But by lap 10, open-wheel driver Sam Hornish Jr. took the lead from the defending Winston Cup champion. At the halfway point, Hornish held a good lead with Patty Moise in second and Dale Earnhardt in third. Moise chased him down, but couldn't find a way around Hornish. Hornish pit a lap ahead of everyone else, and as Moise and Earnhardt exited the track from pit road, Moise tried to hold off Hornish. But going into turn 3, Hornish powers on the outside in turns 3 and 4. Moise chased him back down, but a driver who could be a future Indy
And I will say,
500
we are
winner
still
wins at the
we are still
Brickyard.
piecing
Sam
together
Hornish
the
Jr.
IROC
gets it
season
done
2.
in
Like,
a
who's going to
very
race in it
impressive
for 2003?
performance. Patty Moise finished second, Dale Earnhardt was third, and Jeff Green would cross the line in 8th, enough to score the IROC championship.
My name is
Jeff
Jeff.
Green continues to build an impressive resume on his NASCAR career at 39 years old. But the question remains, how does his Winston Cup title defense go? We will find out later on.
Excuse me.
With that,
Man.
here are the winners and the final standings from IROC 2002.
All swept by NASCAR guys. So yeah, Jeff Green taking it home over Rob Moroso, Kyle Petty, Jimmy Johnson, Sam Hornish Jr., Rusty Wallace.
We now head over to the 2002
All right,
NASCAR
so we'll
Busch
go through the Busch
season
Series
as we
section,
give
and
up
then
a
I'll
great
stop
battle for the title
at the end of the Busch
between
Series
John
section.
Andretti and Jimmy Johnson, in which Johnson would capture the championship. Both Andretti and Johnson have moved up to the Winston Cup, which blows the door wide open.
What's this? I forgot to mention I had my own Patty Moise moment in my NASCAR timeline. Brendan Gong won the 2004 Talladega race for BAM Racing. BAM's team owner is the first female car owner to win a race. Oh, nice.
Bill Davis Racing will have 2 full-time entries for 2 of those rookies, with dirt racer Casey Kane piloting the number 1 Ford sponsored by Stacker 2, and another dirt racer, Ryan Newman, piloting the number 93 Granger Ford. Richard Childress's 21
Part 2
ride
will
has
be
a
when
new
everyone
driver.
gets to see the blender
Jimmy
scenes I
Johnson has
created.
moved up full-time to the
Nah,
Winston
looking
Cup.
forward to it.
Childress taps Washington native Greg
I've been using Blender more
take over
often
the
to
Rockwell
render the
Automation
paint schemes.
Chevrolet. As
You know,
for
kinda up
John
the
Andretti's
quality on things a
82
little
car,
bit.
Jared Favre, that ride is taken over by Kurt
Who's the
Busch.
bigger Lightning
Moved
McQueen,
up
Nathan
to the
Hosley
Truck
or
Series.
Casey Kane?
Dodge sees a lot of potential in him.
That's a good question.
Bill Elliott's team goes full-time as well, leading the number 94 for Justin Labonte, who moves up in the
Justin
Super Sportsman
Labonte.
Series. Shane Meal will drive the number 47 for Innovative Motorsports, And lastly, for the rookies, Fitz Bradshaw Racing hires Brian Vickers to drive the 8. In terms of other changes, Hank Parker Jr. moves from his family operation, which has closed its doors, to B&G Brothers Racing in the number 4. Tim Sauter takes over the 19 at AP Performance Racing. Stock GT champion Bill Lester moves over to Carroll Racing to drive their Dr. Pepper Chevrolet. Elliott Sattler now drives the number 34 Smucker Chevrolet for Frank Cece. Ward Burton drives the number 36 GNC Dodge for Oliver Jessel Racing.
Excuse me.
Brian Reffner has a new ride for 2002, taking over the number 40 for Team Sapco as Adam Petty moves up to the Winston Cup. Adam Petty will still run some select races in their number 45 entry, along with Patty Moise and Shauna Robinson.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is Hosley or Casey Kane
moves over to the number 54
the bigger Lightning McQueen here?
Team Bristol Motorsports after his
that's tough. I'm not really sure.
Welliver Jessel will also field a part-time.
Oh no, it's redacted.
That will be driven by stock GT rookie Casey Mears.
In the 8 car.
Motorsports will have Jeff Purvis
or just be like the Thunder, the NASCAR Thunder Games commentary. The 8 car, or just say the Supercuts car or the Supercuts Chevrolet.
Become the primary driver of the 2 after his open wheel season has concluded. Dale Earnhardt's number 15 car will be driven part-time by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip. Roberto Guerrero, David Green, and Stuart Kirby will all share the number 90 entry for the Hispanic racing team, each for a few races.
Yeah, we'll see if Shane Neal improves. You know, he did as good as he could with the equipment he has, you know, that kind of thing.
And David Rudiman will drive a few races for Nemco Motorsports. As mentioned previously, the Busch Series has a new race for 2002, as their date at Motegi is swapped with a race down under at Calder Park. Once again, this race comes during a Winston Cup off weekend, allowing a few regulars to make the trip, as well as some Australian guests. The only other new date to note is an early season race at the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Redacted.
As discussed last season, the fairgrounds will remain on the schedule for NASCAR's lower series for the time being. The Busch Series will visit both Nashville tracks this season. This year's Heritage Cup races will be Daytona, the Spring Atlanta race, New Hampshire, and the September Darlington race. Greg Biffle looked fast in qualifying as he scored the point for the season opener with Dale
the Heritage Cup,
second,
or the Blaze Alexander Heritage Cup. It's felt like he's like MJF and AEW, who always wins the Diamond Dynasty ring.
Joe Gibbs appeared to look fast in the
Will Marcos Ambrose make it to NASCAR later on? Yeah,
with 10 laps to go,
most likely. Yeah,
Tony Roper was leading.
You'll see him at some point.
Racing. Elton Sawyer and Ricky Craven looked to be a major upset, as Greg Biffle then took the lead with 9 to go. Then with 8 to go, Casey Kane worked his way to the lead, looking to make a major impression in his first Busch start. But that didn't last long.
Little did we know,
because another young driver named Brian Vickers took the lead from Kane.
And I'm not going to lie, in this moment, I was sitting there like, oh no, if Brian Vickers wins this race, oh no.
Down the inside, and he would take the lead. His uncle Bobby Labonte was
Mike was still struggling in the 11 for you there, Epic Memer.
Was on the charge, and he would take the lead coming to 3 to go. As that happened, some of the leaders had to pit because they couldn't make it on fuel. It was Harvick versus the 2 Labontes. Justin Labonte took the lead back coming to 2 laps to go, with Jason Leveler in the mix for his first win. Then, going into turn 1, Labonte could not close the door on Leveler, and Leveler would get to his inside and take the lead going down the backstretch. Jason Leveler was doing all he could to hang on to the lead, but then here comes Chris Trickle on the final lap. Trickle gets to the inside of Leveler, and he gets a big push from fellow Ford driver Johnny Benson, and Chris Trickle took the lead. Benson tried to find a way around him, but Trickle held him off. And it was Chris Trickle.
He's a race car driver. His name is Chris Trickle.
At Daytona. This marks Trickle's 3rd career Busch Series win.
We're due for another insane Daytona winner.
Rockingham had a very competitive start between a few drivers looking for their first win or to break a winless drought.
But yeah, I was using Rockingham 2003, the default. That comes with the game for this.
Battle with Stanton Barrett early, plus the veteran Ron Hornaday. As Labonte faded back, however, the early 3-car fight would be Hornaday, Barrett, and Ricky Hendrick, who was looking for his first win in a year and 1 week. Hendrick worked his way around his fellow Chevy drivers and pulled away in lap traffic. We saw last week's winner Chris Trickle make up ground and enter the top 3, putting on a fun fight with Hornaday for second in the end. But the 51 car had a rocket and never got challenged after his own great stop put him several seconds ahead. Ricky Hendricks wins for the first time since last year's opener.
Ricky
Takes home his 3rd career win as he aims for a breakthrough. As the Winston Cup and other series move to the larger track east of the city, the fairgrounds are still alive in this timeline and continue to host bush races in the
Karen.
spring. And this one didn't disappoint at all. Greg Biffle started on pole in this one as one of many shows.
At least it was
who took
Chris
the
Trickle
lead,
and not.
with the story being the white-hot Nemco team in this one. The 87 of Stan Barrett was climbing fast, as well as, don't look now, in his debut,
Rudeman.
the 88 car of David Rudeman, who stormed into the top 5. Amid all these Chevys, though, it was the Dodge of Toby Porter pulling away with the lead after Greg Biffle
Toby
faded
Porter had a
back.
bit of a down year this year.
We ultimately had
compared
a caution
to
for Ricky
01.
Johnson wrecking on pit road that changed
So,
the
not
order
sure what
a
happened
bit
there.
and brought Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick to the lead. But our original leaders would get closer to the front as pit strategy played out. We had another notable yellow. However, as early favorite Toby Porter was involved in a wreck with Casey Atwood and was taken out,
Ow.
even doing a barrel roll before landing back on his wheels. The Nemco cars led shortly after the restart, with Stanton Barrett pulling ahead. The 2 others had wicked fast cars to enter the picture, a returning Greg Biffle and the 40 of Brian Refner. Biffle worked his way around both Rudeman and Barrett and took the lead. And while the equally fast Refner climbed to second, he never had a shot at the lead. It's a first career win at Nashville as the Biff. Greg Biffle takes home the win for the Childress 21 team. His decision to change tracks is off to a good start. Behind him, the Sun Short Track phenomenon continues as David Rudeman comes home with 3rd in his Busch Series debut the day after his stunning Super Sportsman win.
I don't know.
Our second
I don't know
round
how
Busch
he
Series
keeps
Heritage
doing
Cup
it, but it's
bonus
quite
gave
amazing.
us a thrilling start. Kurt Busch scored his first career pole, but had to fight Blaze Alexander and Stanton Barrett to hold his lead, with the 3 of them going right at force speed on lap 6. Stanton Barrett settled into the lead for a while as Bushwhackers Alexander and Shauna Robinson followed. But following pit stops, a new driver entered the front pack and ran down Barrett for the lead, that being rookie Casey Kane. The Bushwhackers ultimately got the better of Kane, and Blaze Alexander had the car to beat. That was until final pit stops, when the other Bill Davis driver, Ryan Newman, took a risky short
Newman.
to leapfrog to the lead. Alexander had the better car and cut his lead down in traffic, but couldn't get to Newman's bumper until 5 to go. Alexander did all he could, but couldn't get it side by side until the white flag. Newman led the lap, but Alexander edged ahead on the inside in the corner until Ryan Newman made the high line work to perfection. The 93 car pulled ahead from the outside line and blocked heading into turn 3, and with that, the strategy pays off. We have back-to-back first career wins as Ryan Newman hangs on with old tires and beats the former series champion for the win.
Rocket Man.
At Louisiana,
David
Harvick
Rudeman could
started
actually
on
win the
pole,
Super Sportsman
jumped out
Championship in
to a big
2003.
lead on Ron Hornaday
Yeah,
and Patty Moyes.
I could see it
Hornaday
happening.
did slowly close in during the second stint of the race, but Harvick maintained his advantage in short pit. Just as pit stops were wrapping up, though, we had a caution with 12 to go as Justin Labonte gets checked up by David Bonnet and spins down the backstretch. Harvick kept the lead and had a big set of lappers helping him.
Prepare for
Teammate
Newman to
Kurt
flip.
Busch jumped
Oh
to
no.
second and battled Blaze Alexander for the spot. Harvick earns a dominant win at Louisiana.
Whenever I go
while Kurt
visit
Busch holds
my
off
friends
the two,
Michael and John,
while Jared
and we
Carr
watch
won
races
to
together,
finish.
John will always go, "Oh yeah!"
Sauber
Before I forget,
started
there will
on
be a
pole
flip.
in Nazareth. It was the second place qualifier, Casey Kane, who rocketed
Do a
ahead on the
flip.
start and used clean air to his advantage. As he pulled ahead, Sauter and Trickle battled for second, with Kane's lead being extended until reaching lap traffic. When pit stops occurred, Kane's lead did get cut down to 2 seconds by one driver who had a perfect stop. In his first race of the season, Greg Moore in the Penske car. He jumped to second and even managed lap traffic just a bit better to get within a second of Casey Kane. But he ran out of laps, and after a pair of lap cars boxed him in, Casey Kane pulls ahead to be our third first career win of the season, a remarkable 10 winners in 10 races. And all at the same time, Greg Moore makes a statement that he's here to play. As for the standings, Casey Kane has been setting the NASCAR
The Geico
world
Chevrolet has a
on
flat
fire,
tire.
having a 100.
It's just like that Warren commercial. Help
over
me,
Chris
I have a
Trickle.
flat tire.
Kane was looking impressive early on. Did you come from a land down under for a round of NASCAR Thunder? As Calder, Park, and Motegi swapped their IROC dates, the Busch Series Overseas race heads to a new track with multiple Aussie guests in the field, including the return of Jim Richards driving for Team Sapco and Craig Lowndes driving for Brett Bodine. This race also featured Mark Skife with DEI, Owen Kelly with Aikens Motorsports, and supercar up-and-comer Marcos Ambrose with Roush Racing. With that said, it was Chevy domination between a trio of regulars. Jay Sauter started
11 winners and 11 races, the exact opposite of this series in real life.
Along with the 74 of Jeff Burton.
It's I look at the Marcos Ambrose when I revealed him. It's moments like that that get me excited for when people react to it and they're like, "Oh my god!" You know.
Until lap cars brought the
I just
trio
always
together
love those
again.
moments.
Final stop saw a similar story. Jeff Burton came in first and kept advantage, but Biffle
Good day,
leapfrogged
mate,
his
said
teammate
Marcos
on pit
Ambrose.
road for second. The two RCR cars
Or if you're
battled,
SVG,
let
oi
Jeff
mate was on the
Burton
hot
pull
lap.
away. And this ridiculously competitive season continues. Jeff Burton wins the inaugural race in Australia for his second win at Base Motorsports, now at an incredible 11 different winners. Kerry Earnhardt scored the pole just a couple of races later.
Yes, the moment where Kerry Earnhardt became a road racer. Because he won like 2 road courses.
All race long. Kerry Earnhardt
kinda like
kept
when
it clean. If there was an accident with
Chad Little won the
Ron Hornaday broke down,
what was it,
causing
96
Johnny
Busch
Benjamin
Championship,
others
and he
to
won
run
like
into him,
all the road courses.
causing a small pileup. We did restart with 2 laps to go, but it was no issue for the number 14 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet, and at long last, Kerry Earnhardt finally gets his first career Busch Series win at Mid-Ohio. From the fairgrounds in the spring to the suburbs in the summer, Ryan Newman started on the pole in this one and led the opening laps at Nashville Super Speedway, but had to fend off Kerry Earnhardt and Kurt Busch. Busch was the
Using
one to
lessons
make
learned
the
from his
pass
father.
and lead for much of the early going.
Yeah, I mean, Kerry
But
Earnhardt
DEI
really
wouldn't be
came into
denied.
his own this
Ron
season.
Hornaday led some laps.
It was just one of those things where it's
Kerry
like,
Earnhardt continued to show
finally,
that he had the
he's
best car. For much
he's
of the
finally
late going,
coming into his own
Kerry
here.
Earnhardt extended his lead while Kurt Busch
Excuse me,
faded,
Jesus.
but
Excuse me.
he did keep second. Final stops allowed Kurt to be jumped by Hornaday to make it a DEI 1-2, as Kerry Earnhardt gets his second win of the season, end of his career at Nashville Super Speedway. Meanwhile, Casey Kane continues to hold a 93-point lead in the standings. While there were a few bushwhackers in the field for SoCal, this one was dominated by 3 full-timers, each looking for a second win. Pole sitter Ryan Newman.
See, it's
Chris
not all
Trickle,
oops, all
and
bushwhackers.
Greg Biffle. They were the 3-car breakaway for much of the day, before pit stop split them into
Excuse me.
2 tandems. Newman and Trickle in front, while Biffle was caught by Greg Moore. This was his 3rd start of the season, and all 3 races he's run in the top 10. A very notable feat for the open wheeler, who may look to come to NASCAR.
Can you find
sooner than
redacted in
expected.
every Busch Series race? Just imagine I put a black
Need to
bar
keep your
over his
pace in
car.
line and know when to pounce up high. But Newman never did. It was Newman and Trickle up front the whole latter part of the race, with Newman eventually breaking free from him to pull away without giving Trickle the draft. Rocket Man Ryan Newman earns a statement win, his 2nd win of the season, as he looks to garner the consistency of his teammate. We had a pair of winners this season dominate Watkins Glen, Pole sitter Kerry Earnhardt in second place Kevin Harvick put on a show in front of the field, with Harvick clearly being the faster car, but Kerry Earnhardt playing expert defense. Harvick got side by side with him multiple times, but was unable to make a move. It was even the same on pit road.
Fun fact, there have been 28 different winners and 41 volumes of Racing Infinity, with only 8 winning more than once.
Kerry Earnhardt pulled away a bit in the second run before history repeated itself with Harvick.
I didn't realize that.
And then a third challenger in the final 5 laps, as Stanton Barrett ran down the leaders amid their own battle.
Luckily, we won't have Jimmy Johnson winning the championship by 1,063 points.
Barrett finally broke out of line with 2 to go to dive bomb Harvick in turn 1 before breaking away with second in the S's. While this was needed for Stanton, it gave the 14 the room to pull away, and Kerry Earnhardt puts the finishing touches on a dominant run to win at Watkins Glen. Despite his inconsistency, he's the first driver to hit 3 wins this season, and 2 of them being on road courses at that. We were in for a wild one today in the Irish Hills of Michigan. As Michael Waltrip scored the pole. He and Greg Biffle led the field to the green flag. We got your typical exciting Michigan racing with all kinds of passing and lead changes. The first caution came out during the first round of green flag pit stops when Ron Hornaday spun Kurt Busch as they both came off pit road. It was only a single car
Kurt,
spin.
you're number 1.
With 19 to go, it was 4 wide between Blaney McMurray, Clifford Allison, and Shane Neal as they got sandwiched. Blaney goes up the track, gets into Hank Parker Jr.,
Ouch.
And they all wreck in turns 1 and 2. Ricky Johnson was also involved. Jason Leffler led the field back to the green flag.
Jimmy won the last 3 or 4 Racing
Infinities.
Infinities.
Chose not to pit,
The
which
one
led to many pitting after the restart.
That's a good point.
Which also led to Casey Kane taking over the lead, trying to stretch his points lead. With 4 laps to
Get
go,
ready for
Kane
stupidity.
was held up by lap
Or
traffic
shenanigans.
and was passed by Jason Keller for the lead. But both of them were out of gas and had to pit, handing the lead over.
I know what's wrong with it.
to
Ain't got no
Mike
gas in it.
Wallace. Mike Wallace was out by himself, and for the second year in a row, Mike Wallace scored the upset win at Michigan.
Mike Wallace, more like Michigan Wallace, am I right?
As we enter the last
I'll see myself
season,
out.
We had a clean battle at Darlington between a series champion and
Jimmy is
drivers
that
looking
good?
to notch a second win in the title fight. Casey Kane started on pole and had a good run early, fighting Ricky Hendrick and Greg Biffle for the lead, exchanging the lead back and forth. As time went on, though, Casey Kane would fade a bit, and the bushwhacker and defending Heritage Cup bonus winner Blaze Alexander inserted himself into the lead fight. Hendrick had the best car of the day, but Blaze kept him in hot pursuit. And Stanton Barrett also entered the top 3 off a short pit strategy.
2005 Harris 499 time.
In the end, though, not even the 2000 champion could catch the 51 on a mission, and Ricky Hendrick gets his second win of the season at a time where he needs the momentum. At the end of the 4 Heritage Cup races, we have a Mr. Three-Peat. Blaze Alexander captures the Heritage Cup bonus once again. He wins it over Ricky Hendrick by just 4 points.
So now the question
in a
is
very close battle.
anyone going
Chris
to
Trickle started on the pole at Richmond.
is anyone going to beat Blaze Alexander for that bonus?
Him, Jay Sauter, and Kevin Harvick.
Bush
Sauter
won the
took
Le
a
Mans
while to
episode?
take the
Oh,
lead
that's
away from
right.
Trickle, but did
I need to
so
go
right
back
before
and,
pit
like,
stops and a caution
Look
for
up
Ricky
like who
Craven.
won all the Racing Infinities and put them in like a
As Sauter
spreadsheet or
pulled away
something.
from Harvick with the lead, disaster
I should do
struck
that
for
at
a
some
few
point.
Cars, including the pole sitter.
Yeah,
as
there's another
Kurt
one of
Busch
those dang
and the
fades.
lap car Buckshot Jones got together.
Buckshot.
However, the 2 of them were able to continue. This ended with a 12-lap run where Jay Sauter, Kevin Harvick, and last year's winner Bobby Labonte all went at it, with the 31 pulling away as Jay Sauter gets his first win of the year. At Dover, Kevin Harvick led the field to the green flag as he would lead for the first 9 laps.
Dover.
Then he got passed by Ricky Hendrick, and Hendrick looked fast. The 51 would lead all the way to the first round of green flag pit stops, but then Chris Trickle would take over the lead. And from there was no stopping that number 7 car, as Chris Trickle picked up his second win of 2002. Casey Kane scored the pole and was doing all he could to continue his quest for the championship. Kane looked strong and led all the way to the first round of pit stops.
Oh yeah, Scott Speed
But
over
Sean
Tony.
Robinson
Yeah,
would
Tony
take
in
the
the
lead.
Tony Toyota.
After the
Yeah,
next round of pit stops,
that was
Jay
insane.
Sauter took the lead, and he would go on to win at Talladega.
Definitely one of my,
in what
probably
was a
one of my
very
favorite
calm
racing
race.
Infinity moments right there.
Kasey Kahne continued to control the point lead, having a 165-point lead over Kerry Earnhardt. The fall Charlotte race started with many of the series' heavy hitters up front, with Kerry Earnhardt on pole, followed by Kasey Kahne and Kevin Harvick, who each took their own turns leading this one. Kevin Harvick had the best car of the early going, leading the race until Chris Trickle leapfrogged the leaders during first pit stops, but Kevin Harvick ultimately hunted down during the run. Harvick has his own short pitting during second pit stops and built a larger lead over Trickle and Greg Biffle, but final stops had big implications on
Happy
multiple
Harvick.
fronts. Kasey Kahne went from having a bad long-run car, falling out of the top 10, to being stuck on pit road multiple laps. And just like that, his points lead takes a massive hit. Kahne ended up finishing last place on the day, 5 laps down. In front, however, there was another notable change. While Kevin Harvick kept the lead, Ryan Newman jumped up to second during the final cycle and was catching Harvick
Newman.
fast. The 93 car closed in just a few laps and made the pass on Harvick with 7 to go. Ryan Newman truly did look like a rocket man, going from second place to a 2-second lead in the final few laps, and Ryan Newman gets his 3rd win of the year at Charlotte. Could he be making a late charge to be near the top of the standings? A fun, clean, short-track race at Memphis gave us a look at who has the most momentum going into the last few races, but a part-time driver sat on pole, that being Michael Waltrip in the DEI 15. Waltrip led early, but was passed up by Kevin Harvick, who led for a bit before fellow Californian Ron Hornaday caught him and took the lead just before pit stops.
Ah yes, the pair of
Hornaday
Californians.
kept a narrow lead after stops as he battled lap traffic, and Kasey Kahne jumped to 3rd off short pitting and had a great second half car. Harvick used the lap car of Ward Burton to make a pass shortly after and pulled away for a bit, before more lap traffic allowed both Hornaday and Kahne to reel him in. And with less than 10 laps to go, Harvick was being blocked by a 3-wide pack of lappers, while Kahne and Hornaday cut down the deficit. It was over when Harvick finally got past traffic with 2 to go, and Kevin Harvick gets his 3rd win of the season. Ian Kahne in second seemed to have the most momentum as the
I remember a
margin of
video you made a
error
few years
gets
ago where you made a
even
custom
smaller.
schedule.
Riverside had a lot of
Oh!
storylines from the get-go. As a driver with
Oh,
road
I know what you're talking
experience
about.
started on the
It was
pole.
like a little thing I did where it was like
Moore
I had to
a
make
very
I had to make the
competitive start
NASCAR
with
schedule,
Kasey Kahne,
but
with Kahne briefly
I needed like
getting the better
certain
of him
requirements.
and leading the
Yeah,
first
I know what
lap
you're talking
before
about.
Greg Biffle
I know what
got
you're talking
around
about.
both of them and stole the lead coming to lap 3. From this point on, Greg
Took me
Biffle
a second to
dominated
realize. I
and
was
got
like,
out
did
to
I
a
reach?
13-second
Oh
lead
wait, I
before
think it's remember
caution
that.
came out. On the restart, Biffle couldn't get away as easy as the lap car of Jason Keller held him up and let Kahne, Benson, and Moore stay on his bumper. Kahne took it side by side twice with Biffle, but couldn't make either run work. Biffle finally weaseled his way around the 57 and pulled ahead, albeit much more modesty than the first half. Greg Biffle went on to win at Riverside for his 2nd win, and the rookie star Kasey Kahne only 1 race win on the year, but he comes home with 3 second-place finishes in a row. Greg Moore came home 4th in another race that shows that he means business in NASCAR. It was clutch time. Kasey Kahne held a 158-point lead over Kevin Harvick with 2 races
Mike
to go.
Blistener
We had a
DNQ.
fun
That's
one
it.
in
He's
Florida
gone.
today, as for the second time in 3
Yeah, if he's
races,
DNQing that
Greg Moore
much,
started
yeah.
on pole at an oval he's raced at in other series. Kasey Kahne started second and followed his lead early. Moore maintained the
Jesus.
lead,
Anyway.
and then a caution came out for Jeff Burton and Mike Wallace, wrecking
Ow.
hard down the backstretch. A tough break for the Base Motorsports drivers. At the restart,
wasn't very
Kasey Kahne was pushed
based.
up high a bit and lost a few spots,
Sorry.
while Shauna Robinson took second and dueled Greg Moore for the lead. Moore held his own, however, and brought home the most laps led before Shauna Robinson got by him with 30 laps to go. Robinson would then pull ahead to win back-to-back races as a bushwhacker, but the title fight is interesting. Kahne still has a large advantage,
Is
even
that
after
custom
finishing
schedule video still
15th,
available?
with many of his fellow contenders beside him.
I think I
Third place
privated
finish for
it.
Greg Biffle gives him an outside chance. He's now back by 124 points from Casey
I remember
Kane.
privating it when I was
While
rebranding
Adam
the
Petty
channel and
scored the
everything.
pole at Atlanta and Greg Biffle started 5th, it was a whole different story for our points leader. Casey Kane ended up qualifying 28th. And not only that, his world was turned upside down on lap 5 when Elliott Sadler cut in front of him, causing Kane to make contact with the wall as Sadler wrecked and barrel rolled.
I remember when I
into
ran
turn
this
4.
scene and I was just
With
like,
that, Elliott Sadler
I was like,
done for the
oh
day.
dear
But
God.
Casey Kane was able to keep going with
I knew we were
damage.
going to get shenanigans when he qualified
Everyone
28th.
went to pit under the yellow, handing the lead over to Jeff Burton, while Greg Biffle restarted 6th, and Casey Kane was 41st. Just a couple of laps later, Adam Petty quickly found his way back to the lead.
Because I
as
initially had
Greg
thought,
Biffle, on the other hand,
oh
was getting
man,
shuffled
Casey
back
Kane
and
really
he
going to
dropped
lose
to
the
10th.
championship like that.
On
And I was
lap
like,
38,
well, he's
during
still on the
qualifying
track.
stops,
Doesn't have that
Ron
much
got into Buckshot
damage.
Jones
See what
into
happens.
the apron, and this sent them up the track.
And
into
our
Earnhardt,
moment.
Hornaday's teammate. Earnhart was done
At that
for the
moment, it was
day.
like that happens. I'm
During
like,
the
stop
stop,
hitting each
and
other.
Greg Biffle had an extra long pit stop that would cost him big time and would restart 31st. Toby Porter restarted as the leader, hungry for a win.
Alex
But
and I
Adam
were on
Petty
a
had
voice
other
call, and I
plans,
was waiting for him to
taking
tell
the
me
lead
Kane
very
wrecked when he
quickly
said there
once
was a
again.
caution.
Petty
Yeah,
led
you
all
were.
the way to
You were
the end of
convinced
the
something like that
race.
was going to happen. I'm
And
like,
with
you
13
jinxed
to
it.
go, Stanton Barrett and Michael Waltrip
I was like,
caught up.
hope you're happy.
Stanton
kidding.
Barrett would end up taking the lead, and he would go on to collect.
It was
his
just kind
second
of
win
like,
of the
no way
2002
that just
season,
happened. Oh
winning
no.
the season finale at Atlanta. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle finished 25th, and Casey Kane
2026
was a
in-season
lap
tournament
down at
title
34th.
fight.
Despite the early mishap, it all worked out.
Gilly
The
for a
sport's
milli.
newest phenom, Casey Kane is your NASCAR Busch Series champion for 2002. Much like Nathan Hosline Super Sportsman last year, Casey Kane came into this season unknown, but everybody knows him now. And he has clearly set the NASCAR world on fire with his consistency. He's already looking like one of the most electrifying drivers in NASCAR right now. And maybe perhaps we may see him in Cup sooner rather than later. With all that being said, here is a look at all of your winners and the final standings from the 2002 NASCAR Busch Series season.
The biggest
We have
choke
a
in
lot
Sunday
of
Night
breakout
Lights?
drivers this year.
Oh,
It is
man.
also to note that Blaze Alexander took home the Heritage Cup bonus once again.
Maybe Moroso
for the
96
third
Atlanta?
year in a row.
That might be
Will anybody
worth the
top
debate.
him next season? We'll have to find out. But with that, we had a lot of rising stars in Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, Kurt Busch. Kerry Earnhardt had a huge breakout year as well. And it'll be interesting to see where they go next going into 2003. And now,
We will get back to that later. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. All right. So, we will do the cup section next time. So, that is the game plan there. So, let's see. Or Tim Richmond that 1 year in trucks. Yeah. 2001. Yeah. But, oh, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, Jeff Gordon won the title as a rookie in 91. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's other instances of that. I'm not entirely sure, but, yeah, so, okay, well, I still got to the point where I wanted to end the stream anyway, so, you know, like I said, I started a little earlier just because I wanted to talk about the stuff that I wanted to talk about, which, again, thank you all so much for that conversation and all that. I think that went really well, so, to Richmond every year in trucks. Oh, man. It's been definitely a lot of moments that were made, and I'd say a lot more to come for sure. So I'm really excited to see what 2003 brings. Again, we've had a lot of cars are done, so, you know, just got to finish those up. We'll get the races going here in the coming days, hopefully, and we've made a lot of progress, and the plan is to get the next Racing Infinity out next weekend. So, like I said, I made a lot of progress on that earlier today, and I'll be working on more of that video tomorrow. So, besides that, do you guys have any more questions, comments, concerns, remarks, anything of that nature? Just let me know before I close up shop for the night, and we're on with the rest of the 2026 season, and we'll see how that season plays out. We will have a lot of new schemes to show. Yes, we will. We will have a lot of new schemes for 2003. I can't wait for y'all to see them. Seriously, I'm really excited to... We're definitely excited to show that to you guys. So, for sure. So, but yeah, again, thank you all so much for the support as always. And again, I love NASCAR, and I've loved it since 2004. And, want to be able to celebrate racing, but talk about the issues that are kind of holding us all back here. But yeah, and it's great hearing some of the other NR projects you guys are doing, which is awesome. NR is just a really fun game to play, and it really gives you a lot of creativity with what's available at hand. I mean, 23 years worth of mods and paint schemes and tracks and tools to use. Default car templates? No, we will use the Splash and Go Cup 03 mod. So I did say that before, but we will use that for Cup and Busch, the Splash and Go ones for 2003 moving forward. So at least 2 with this mod is, we'll be able to use this one for a while. So yeah, ideally, again, I do not have a set official date. I am nowhere near close to doing that yet, but I'd like to get it out the end of September if possible, and then see if I can get 2004 out by the end of the year. So I use Original Cup. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So obviously when, this other mod came up, then it was just kind of a question of which one do we use and that kind of thing. So yeah. So, yeah. I don't think I have anything else left to talk about. Unless you guys have anything else left. But, yeah, seriously, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for the fun. Thank you for the conversations. Thank you for the support. Glad y'all liked the photos, and looking forward to more Sunday Night Lights and Racing Infinity and all that fun stuff. So as always, appreciate the support. Seriously, I really do appreciate all you guys. So, with that, I'll probably go ahead and end the stream here and chill for the rest of the night and go from there. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. We got Iowa coming up, so looking forward to that. It's awesome to see that track on the Cup schedule. Hopefully it'll stay on there for a while. I got Gateway coming up in September, and man, we're not that far away from the chase already. Jeez, we'll be crowning a champion before long. Anyway, thank you guys so much as always. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend and week ahead and all that good stuff. And stay tuned for more information and more updates. And I will see you all in the next one. Have a good night, everyone.